In Konoha, I start by summoning the traveling frog. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 26 Unexpected Disaster. When the masked man uttered the words Orochimaru, he expected Chiba to be shocked. After all, in Konoha, the name Orochimaru was synonymous with terror. But to the masked man's surprise, Chiba showed no reaction at all. Orochimaru? One of the legendary three ninjas. The third Hokage's most admired student. Konoha's S-rank rebel. To others, it might seem a powerful title. But in the eyes of Chiba, familiar with the world of Naruto, Orochimaru was nothing. If there was one thing that stood out more about Orochimaru, it was his scientific research. In the Naruto world, Orochimaru was undoubtedly the only one who truly believed in science. As for this so-called organization, wasn't it just Akatsuki? What do you think? Interested, our organization is made up of people just like you, abandoned by their villages or framed by their own comrades, but if we join forces, we can realize a perfect plan and create a new world, the masked man spoke, his tone growing increasingly frantic. Not interested, Chiba replied calmly. This calm tone nearly drove the masked man insane. The masked man's gaze fixed on Kainai, and the next second, a vortex suddenly appeared in his pupils, absorbing him completely. Kamui? Kainai didn't panic at all. Someone without prior knowledge, encountering the masked man for the first time, might have felt intimidated by his special abilities. But Kainai could already predict where he would appear. The next second, Kainai spun abruptly and punched behind him. There, the masked man appeared, ready to grab Kainai and forcibly suck him into the Kamui dimension. The masked man was startled by Kainai's swift reaction. However, the punch still passed through Kainai's body. How did he find out? Is it the Byakugan? The masked man stared at Kainai. But Kainai didn't show any signs of his Byakugan. The masked man was shocked, but he remained calm. Kid, you reacted pretty quickly, but next time, you won't have such a good opportunity. After saying that, the masked man took out two chains and handcuffed his hands. He planned to use the same method he used against Minato to deal with Chiba. He used this trick to deal with Minato, but Minato escaped because of Minato's Flying Thunder God technique. And this time, he believed that Chiba would not be so lucky. No matter how fast the instant body technique is, it is not a space ninjutsu after all. Are you very confident in your own strength? Chiba did not comment. Because, my name is Uchiha Madara. After saying this, the masked man even showed his Sharingan. But what made the masked man a little frustrated was that even after he said the title Uchiha Madara, Chiba remained indifferent. This kid, is he so cunning? I told him so many secrets in one breath tonight, shouldn't he feel like he has been exposed to a new world? Why does he seem to have no reaction at all? The masked man almost collapsed. He originally wanted to take advantage of Chiba's shock to suddenly attack, but now Chiba's indifferent expression made him want to retreat. Huh? Seeing that the masked man did not continue to attack, Chiba snorted disdainfully. If it was Madara standing here in his prime, I would naturally be doomed. But unfortunately, he is already dead now. Even if he is still alive, he is just an old guy who is lingering on. Chiba said disdainfully. If Madara was still alive during this period, he would be nothing more than an old man who needed to rely on the outer path demon statue to prolong his life. And after the masked man appeared, Madara should have died long ago. Madara is now waiting for the masked man to resurrect him in the Pure Land. The masked man's pupils slightly opened. What are you talking about? Although he was still stubborn, the information Chiba knew was far beyond his expectations, which made him a little panicked. Not only Madara, logically, you should be a dead man too. It's just that you are lucky and were rescued, but your luck is a bit bad, because you are just a pawn being used by others. Chiba continued to speak, saying disdainfully. The masked man could no longer bear it at this time, and shook his head frantically. Impossible. This is impossible, the masked man roared wildly in his heart. He didn't believe that his identity would be exposed. But Chiba's next sentence directly broke through his inner defenses. Am I right? Uchiha Obito. Chiba spoke. These words struck Obito like a bolt from the blue. According to the plan, upon his appearance, he would use Madara's name to stir up trouble in the ninja world. He also knew his identity couldn't be revealed. After all, being a Uchiha, Madara held immense influence over the ninja world. His last act had been to use the Nine Tails to destroy Konoha. This time, he was simply impressed by Chiba's abilities and wanted to recruit him into the Akatsuki organization to serve him. But who could have imagined that Chiba would so easily reveal his name in their first meeting? Gazing into Chiba's determined gaze, Obito knew no amount of argument would be effective. Furthermore, his mind was in turmoil, and he had no idea when his identity had been exposed. The only option now was to retreat. Obito didn't hesitate, immediately transporting himself into the Kamui dimension. Watching Obito's departure, Chiba made no attempt to stop him, even though he knew Obito had to materialize when the Kamui was transported. But he still had Kurenai with him, and if they truly engaged, Kurenai would inevitably be affected. With this in mind, Chiba let her go. After Kurenai's illusion was broken, she woke up slowly. After waking up, Kurenai looked confused. Then, she saw Chiba in front of her. A smile immediately appeared on Chiba's face. But the next second, snap! A hot slap hit Chiba's face. Rogue, shameless, lecher, Chiba was confused. What was going on? Tell me, what did you do to me just now? Kurenai continued. What can I do? I'm such a gentleman. If you don't believe me, check yourself, Chiba defended himself aggrievedly. He felt like he was going to die of injustice. Humph, a mocking arc appeared on Kurenai's face. You didn't do anything here, but you know what you did to me in the illusion just now. Tell me, when did you practice illusion? Kurenai pinched Chiba's waist again and scolded. Chiba? Obito, get back here. I'm going to kill you. Chapter 27 Return of the Frog. It turned out that just now, within the illusion, Kurenai had seen Chiba. And in that environment, Chiba looked like a gangster. This was why Kurenai was so furious when she woke up. Furthermore, Kurenai had been caught in the illusion not long after she and Chiba separated, and she believed that no one else could have approached her in such a short time. Moreover, why would anyone else cast such an illusion on her? Obito. You damn thing, get back here, Chiba roared furiously. At this moment, he was completely lost for words. He finally managed to coax Kurenai into submission. Concerned for her safety, Chiba had taken her home. The moment they entered, Chiba rushed in eagerly. This was Chiba's first visit to Kurenai's home. He used the excuse of checking for any danger, and then he toured the house. Since Kurenai had died in the Nine Tails Rebellion, she now lived alone. The moment he entered Kurenai's bedroom, he was greeted by the fragrance of a young girl. Chiba took a few deep breaths and rubbed his nose, feeling unsatisfied. How is it going? Any other danger? Kurenai walked in. Just then, Kurenai noticed her underwear still lying on the bed, her face flushed, and she grabbed Chiba and dragged him out. Chiba's gaze remained fixed on Kurenai's bed, and it wasn't until Kurenai pushed her out that she realized what was happening. Kurenai's figure was quite good, though still a shade below Samui's. Naturally, she couldn't compare to the likes of Tsunade or Mei Terumi. But I heard that this could be improved through massage. Is that true? I really need to try it out sometime. Alright? It's clear now, you can go back. Kurenai tidied up briefly in the bedroom before emerging, addressing Chiba. Perhaps reflecting on what had just happened, the blush still lingered on Kurenai's face. Kurenai began pushing against Chiba's body, trying to push him out. No, Chiba flatly refused. He had just gone to great lengths to explain to Kurenai that he wasn't the one who cast the genjutsu on her. Even so, Kurenai remained skeptical. After all, Kurenai was a genjutsu-type ninja, an elite jonin in Konoha, and there were only a handful of people capable of casting genjutsu on her. Furthermore, Chiba had only recently left, so if it was someone else who had done it, they would have clearly been watching them both. With such surveillance, even evading Chiba's glare, they must be incredibly powerful. So, Kurenai remained skeptical. Why not? Kurenai placed her hands on her hips, gazing at Chiba with a hint of disapproval. I can't let you get into any danger, Chiba stated firmly. Seeing Chiba's resolute expression, Kurenai felt a warm surge of emotion. But Chiba's next words nearly made Kurenai want to kick him out. I'm staying here, protecting you. It was already this late, and he was staying here? Was he planning to spend the night? Kurenai's gaze fixed on Chiba. A bratty brat. He was definitely not a good person. Kurenai thought to herself. Despite thinking so, Hong ultimately couldn't resist Chiba's constant nagging. Late at night, Hong lay alone on the tatami, eyes closed, her body tense to the bone, unable to sleep at all. Beside her sat a figure, Chiba. Chiba's eyes were open, constantly observing his surroundings, like a dedicated guard. Seeing Chiba like this, Hong felt a sense of relief. Slowly, Hong finally drifted off to sleep. When she woke the next morning, she felt her body confined tightly. A hand had been placed on her body, pinching it intermittently. Slowly, Hong opened her eyes to see a face, now pressed against hers, asleep. Ah! A scream echoed. Not long after, Chiba appeared at Hong's door, 2 slap marks on her face. Oh, wasn't it just that I was so tired from the night watch that I couldn't help but take a nap? This woman is so petty, Chiba thought to herself as she emerged. Obito's appearance in Konoha signaled the imminent Uchiha extermination. According to the original storyline, Obito would first come to reach an agreement with Itachi, and then the two would work together to annihilate the Uchiha clan. However, Chiba wondered what Itachi's current attitude was. Honestly, the Uchiha clan was a precious force in the ninja world. Though somewhat out of control at the moment, if they could be harnessed, it would undoubtedly be a significant boost to Chiba's future. I guess I need to find a time to talk to Itachi, Chiba thought to himself. He then raised his feet, preparing to head towards the Uchiha clan. Ding! But just then, a notification chimed in Chiba's mind. Congratulations, host! Your little frog is back. Chiba was overwhelmed with joy. He hadn't expected time to pass so quickly. A month had already passed in the blink of an eye. Last time, the frog had brought back the thunder fruit, instantly elevating Chiba to the rank of elite Chunin. He wondered what treasures it would bring back this time. Look what it brought back. Kainai's mind rang with a reminder. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you've obtained a rejuvenating pill, a Ruai Jingu wand, and a purple gold gourd, Ruai Jingu wand. Purple gold gourd? Kainai hadn't expected these 2 items. As for the rejuvenating pill, he simply ignored it. He was only 12 years old, too young to use it. But if the opportunity arose in the future, giving it to a woman he loved would be a nice gift, Kainai thought to himself. Ding! Rejuvenating pill can preserve the youthful appearance and maintain the bodily functions of an 18-year-old. Ruai Jingu wand weighs 13,500 kilograms and can change size at will at the host's command, yet is as light as a feather in the host's hands. Purple gold gourd, the host simply calls out their name, and if they agree, they can be sucked into the bottle. The system introduced it. Kainai carefully read the instructions for the 3 items. Suddenly, something felt amiss. System, if I take the rejuvenating pill now, can it transform my body back to 18? Of course, the system replied. At this moment, as Kainai regained consciousness, a pill appeared in his hand. Then, Kainai regained consciousness and looked back at Hong's home, which he had just left. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Side Job. If it weren't for this body, would he have wanted to be a gentleman? Of course not. There are some things that, if done, would be beastly. But if not done, it would be worse than beastly. Kainai knew this truth, but his 12-year-old body wasn't up to the task. If he swallowed a rejuvenating pill right now, then went back and did what needed to be done. Ahem. The thought flashed through Kainai's mind. Sure, it would be revenge, but how would he explain to others that he had suddenly transformed into an 18-year-old? Kainai shook his head and put the rejuvenating pill away again. Then, Kainai's consciousness returned to the system's storage. There, quietly, lay a golden cudgel, with the words weight 13,500 kilograms written on it. Kainai reached out and easily lifted it. Then, Kainai looked at the purple gold gourd beside him. In the Naruto world, there seemed to be 6 ninja tools, similar in function to the purple gold gourd. However, those ninja tools have been missing since they were taken away by the rebel ninjas Kinkaku and Jinkaku. Perhaps they won't appear until the next Shinobi World War. Kumogakure. Bang! The 4th Raikage looked at the intelligence before him and slammed his desk again. For the nth time, his desk was pulverized by him. Outrageous. Konoha is too arrogant. Daru and Mabu, standing by, saw the Raikage's reaction and didn't even dare to step forward to dissuade him. They already knew the situation. Samui went to negotiate, but not only did he fail to force Konoha to compromise, he was actually detained by Konoha. "That brat named Hinata Chiba, bring me his information," the Raikage said. In less than an hour, the information about Chiba appeared on the Raikage's desk. As one of the 5 great nations, the intelligence capabilities of Kumogakure were naturally unquestionable. Samui didn't know Chiba before, simply because the Kumogakure hadn't paid much attention to him. Outrageous. So arrogant, so he's just a loser. How dare someone like that challenge me? The Raikage, upon seeing Chiba's profile, was furious. According to the intelligence, Chiba had always been a worthless figure in Konoha, only recently experiencing a sudden surge of strength. But as one of the 5 Kage, the Raikage believed that no one could suddenly become stronger. Perhaps Chiba had been training diligently for years, but so what? Even if he defeated Asuma and Kakashi, so what? He was the Raikage. One of the 5 Kage. How many in the ninja world could rival him? Besides, Chiba was staking his claim to speed, his pride and joy. Daru, come with me once, Mabu. Tell Konoha I agree to their terms, but let me warn them again, if they try to play tricks again, I will declare war and destroy Konoha. Boom. As the Raikage finished his words, a loud bang echoed as he smashed through the wall. Daru stood there, rubbing his head in silence. "Ah, you're still so impulsive. This is going to cost a lot of money for repairs, hurry up." "It's too late to catch up with Raikage-sama," Mabuai said from the side. "Mabuai, tell that sir about this. I've always felt that this brat named Hinata Chiba is something special," Daru suddenly said, and then his figure disappeared. Mabuai looked in the direction the two had left, then after a moment, looked deeper into Kumogakure. After a moment's hesitation, he walked out of the office. Because he had spent all night protecting Kurne, and only finally couldn't help but sleep for a while, Chiba hadn't slept well all night. After returning home, Chiba slept for a full 8 hours before waking up slowly. It was already afternoon, and Chiba noticed that someone had suddenly appeared in his room. Kakashi. Chiba rubbed his eyes, thinking he was seeing things. He was truly so exhausted that he hadn't noticed when Kakashi arrived in his room. But that was also because Kakashi meant no harm. If Kakashi harbored even the slightest hint of murderous intent, Chiba would have been able to tell. "Hey, what a coincidence, Chiba, what's a coincidence?" "This is my house," Chiba said, somewhat speechless. Kakashi scratched his head sheepishly, unsure what to say. Chiba, as if seeing through Kakashi's thoughts, smiled a sort of "you know what I mean." Kakashi nodded frantically, their conversation unspoken. "Here you go." Chiba walked over to the desk, rummaged around for a moment, and pulled out Young Master XXX. Kakashi took the book, instantly overjoyed. He'd been poring over Chiba's masterpiece these past few days, and he looked a little worn out, his dark circles even worse. But even so, Kakashi's eyes still shone. It couldn't be helped, who had he liked it? Chiba's writing was truly exceptional. Back when I was obsessed with Intimate Paradise, I wasn't even this crazy. By the way, Chiba, I've sent your book to a gentleman. He's very interested and is on his way back to Konoha. I'm sure it'll be here soon. He's a well-known author in the ninja world. Talk to him, I'm sure he'll have a lot of advice for you. It won't be long before you become one of the ninja world's foremost writers. Kakashi gave Chiba a thumbs up. In Kakashi's eyes, Chiba's talent was undoubtedly among the best in the ninja world. Chiba was speechless, he hadn't expected Kakashi to be so witty. Thankfully, this was the Naruto world. If it were in a previous life, the author of this novel would have received a 10-year sentence. However, Kakashi reminded him that since this was the Naruto world, he might consider developing a side hustle. After all, being a ninja, all about fighting and killing every day, was too boring and paid little. Chiba's living expenses now depend on the Hyuga clan. Although he has no worries about food and drink, he is short of money when it comes to enjoying himself. At this moment, Chiba glanced at Kakashi, his eyes resting on Kakashi's forward protector. He knew that under that forward protector, there was a Mangekyo Sharingan. But Kakashi has not yet discovered the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. "Kakashi, have you studied that eye of yours?" Chiba asked. Kakashi was stunned, then nodded. He had long ago consulted the Uchiha clan about the power of the Sharingan, and now he has mastered it. However, Chiba's next words made Kakashi's heart tremble slightly. Chapter 29 The Eve of the War. Do you know about the Mangekyo Sharingan? Kakashi was stunned by Chiba's words. He had heard of the Mangekyo Sharingan, of course, but he'd heard that even within the Uchiha clan, it was extremely rare. Currently, only the missing Uchiha Shiso had opened his Mangekyo Sharingan. And with the clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku, his power was a mystery. It was likely he had also opened his own. However, information on the Mangekyo Sharingan was so scarce that Kakashi didn't even know how to open it, so he didn't think much of it. Keep an eye on your eye, it might have other powers, Chiba said. He didn't elaborate. After all, he was a time traveler, possessing a god's perspective on many things, making explanations difficult. He also believed that with Kakashi's intelligence, he wouldn't be long in discovering his hidden eye technique. Shortly after Kakashi left, Chiba received intelligence that the Raikage had already left. The two had agreed to meet at the border between Konoha and Kumogakure for their bet. Just as Chiba was packing his things, a small figure suddenly scurried in. Chiba, a voice like a silver bell echoed. Chiba looked up to see Hinata standing beside him. Chiba, Hinata called out again, her pretty face blushing slightly, and she hesitated to speak. Even the introverted girl was still shy around Chiba. What's wrong? Chiba smiled and rubbed Hinata's head, his face doting. Although Chiba had set his sights on Hinata when they first crossed over, he had always doted on her, a fondness welling up from his heart that he couldn't contain. Perhaps it was because this girl was just too good. Hinata wants to go with you, Hinata whispered. She had already learned from Hinata Hayashi about the bet between Chiba and the Raikage, and what would happen to Chiba if he failed. Although she knew she couldn't help, she wanted to go too. She just wanted to be quietly by Chiba's side at this time. Hinata then went to beg Hyuga Hayashi to take her with her, but Hyuga Hayashi told her to go find Chiba instead, saying it would be alright as long as Chiba agreed. Hinata then went to Chiba. Chiba was stunned. He hadn't expected Hinata to make such a request. But at that moment, a warm feeling welled up in his heart. In his previous life, Chiba was just a struggling, unsuccessful rider. His family misunderstood, and the girl he loved looked down on him. There were few people in the world who cared about him. But in this world, even when he was still a worthless person, Hinata always stayed by his side, silently caring for him. This was what touched Chiba the most. Okay, without much hesitation, Chiba agreed. After all, both Konoha and Kumogakure would deploy their elite troops for this bet, so Hinata wouldn't be in any danger even if she came along. Moreover, based on Chiba's understanding of the Raikage, he knew his character would surely abide by the bet if he could defeat him. Hinata leaped to her feet upon hearing Chiba's words, then pecked him on the cheek. Hinata blushed, then turned and ran out, not wanting to linger in the room for long. Only after Hinata left did Chiba slowly come back to his senses. He reached out and touched the spot on his face Hinata had touched, still unsatisfied. Then an idea struck him. What if he gave Hinata the anti-aging pill? Alice, forget it. Looking at his own body, Chiba sighed. After packing his things, Chiba went to the other room. Here, Samui was already waiting for Chiba. After all, compared to Chiba, she had less luggage. Are you ready? Chiba asked with a smile as they entered the room. Samui glared at Chiba, as if rebuking him for entering without knocking. You should ask yourself that question, Samui replied defiantly. Do I need to prepare? I should ask you, because someone's going to be my personal maid for a month, Chiba said with a smile. He emphasized the word personal. Samui blushed, and she thought of the bet she had made with Chiba. Although Samui had absolute confidence in the Raikage's abilities, for some reason, she suddenly wondered what she would do if he failed. But Samui recalled Chiba's defense of her a few days ago. A month didn't seem so difficult, did it? Get lost. Despite thinking so, Samui still said the word get lost. Chiba didn't dwell on it, believing that actions would speak louder than words. After all, the Konoha clan prepared to depart. But just after leaving the Hyuga clan, Chiba suddenly spotted a figure, Kurona Iyuhi. Seeing Kurona Iyuhi appear, Hyuga Hayashi frowned slightly, then glanced at Chiba with a hint of dissatisfaction. Hinata's eyes flickered back and forth between Kurona Iyuhi and Chiba. Since she was still young, she wasn't yet deeply jealous. She was simply nervous, fearing Chiba would be snatched away by Kurona, but she harbored no real hatred for her. Some within the Hyuga clan erupted in gloating laughter. After all, the story of Chiba and Kurona was now known to the entire Konoha community. Seeing Kurona, Chiba, not expecting her presence, hurried over. Hyuga's face darkened, and he immediately told everyone in the Hyuga clan to leave. Why are you here? Why can't I come? Kurenai frowned at Chiba's words, her face filled with discontent. She had just seen Samui walking beside Chiba, which only intensified her discontent. However, remembering Chiba's upcoming battle, she didn't want to get angry with him. It's all about the danger. I don't want you going anywhere dangerous, Chiba said sincerely. Kurenai snorted coldly, but despite her outward disdain, a warm feeling still flowed through her heart. Girls are like that, even if they know he's telling lies, they sometimes subconsciously choose to believe him. I'm also an elite Jonin of Konoha. How could I be on this trip without you? Kurenai pouted, seeming a little unhappy that Chiba looked down on him. Chiba didn't say much, but simply took Kurenai's hand naturally, as if announcing their relationship to everyone in Konoha. Chapter 30 Who is arrogant? The border between Konoha and Kumogakure. Due to the protracted war between the two countries, the surrounding trees have been extensively destroyed. Despite a period of peace talks, construction has yet to resume. Now, another major war is about to begin here. The bet between Chiba and the Raikage directly implicates the relationship between the two countries. Therefore, both Konoha and Kumogakure have dispatched numerous elite troops this time. The Raikage of Kumogakure will naturally take action himself, accompanied by 20 of Kumogakure's elite Jonin. On the Konoha side, neither the 3rd Hokage nor Danzo will be present. The Hyuga clan will be the main force, with a number of elite Jonin also present. The Uchiha clan, still reeling from Shisu's disappearance, has seen a growing rift between them and Konoha, so they haven't sent anyone this time. After all, with the 2nd Hokage's experience as a warning, both sides of this bit are extremely cautious. At this moment, at the Konoha border, a muscular, furious old man with white hair surveys the Konoha crowd before him and spots a familiar figure in the crowd. Lord Raikage, Samui called out upon seeing the Raikage. She was filled with excitement. After all, after such a long time as a prisoner in Konoha, she could finally return to the hidden Kumo village. A sense of seeing the light of day washed over her. Although, aside from Chiba's initial torture, Samui hadn't suffered much. Even Chiba's punishment, when Samui recalled it now, didn't seem so painful. The Raikage glanced at Samui and nodded calmly. His gaze searched the crowd of Konoha, quickly locking onto a young man. He looked about 12 or 13, yet he stood at the front of the group. Surrounding him were Konoha's renowned elite Jonin, Hyuga Kakashi, Might Guy, Yuhi Kurenai. His identity was immediately clear. Hyuga Chiba. What an arrogant brat. At such a young age, you dare challenge me? The Raikage's fury intensified, and in the next second, he vanished from the scene. Huh? Seeing the Raikage suddenly vanish, the Konoha crowd was startled and quickly took a defensive stance. But the Raikage's speed was no match for theirs, and no one had anticipated a sudden attack at such a moment. So, everyone instinctively protected themselves, but no one considered Chiba standing nearby. At that moment, the Raikage charged directly at Chiba. A flash of lightning flashed, and in a flash, the Raikage was in front of Chiba. Thunderblade, the Raikage swung his arm. Since this brat was so ignorant, he'd grant him his wish. With one strike, he unleashed the Thunderblade. While this was supposed to be a combined taijutsu performed by two people, even a single strike from the Raikage's strength was enough to be fatal. Boom! A loud thud echoed, and the Raikage felt his body slam into his target. But he wasn't excited at all, for he felt as if he were slamming into a wall, unable to move forward an inch. Only then did the Raikage finally turn his gaze to Chiba in front of him, beginning to take the young man seriously. Chiba stretched out his hands, and at the critical moment, he blocked the Raikage's lightning blade. At that moment, lightning flashed across Chiba's body, a fact that surprised the Raikage greatly. When had the thunder armor, wielded only by the Raikage in the hidden cloud village, become known? And for some reason, he sensed a peculiar sensation from Chiba's armor. Though he couldn't pinpoint its origin. It was simply an instinctive feeling. But the Raikage couldn't fathom it. After all, even if he racked his brains, he couldn't have imagined the existence of the thunder fruit in the Naruto world. Yet, with his sudden attack, Chiba had easily blocked it. While it was only a probing attack, not his full strength, the Raikage was confident that this strike would instantly kill an ordinary Jonin. This brat was clearly very strong. But even so, what could he do? He was the Raikage. One of the 5 strongest ninjas in the modern ninja world who bore the title of Kage, Even if Chiba was stronger, what could he do? You're quite a good brat, but unfortunately, you'll die today, because you're so arrogant, the Raikage said. Chiba's lips curled up. Arrogant? The Raikage pulled back, putting some distance between him and Chiba. Several Jonin from Konoha immediately stepped forward, shielding Chiba behind them. Although this was a bet between two of them, the competition was purely about speed. After all, even they didn't believe Chiba had the strength to rival the 5 Kage. After all, that was a Kage. Before the late-stage power system collapsed, the current Kage was the peak of the ninja world's combat power. So everyone quickly shielded Chiba behind them, watching the Raikage warily, fearing another sneak attack. What is arrogance? Is challenging you arrogant, Lord Raikage? Are you so high and mighty, so insolent? So, who is the arrogant one, me or you? Chiba slowly emerged from the crowd, ignoring the protection. There was no way the Raikage could kill him instantly with a single blow. Chiba's words only made the Raikage raise his brows slightly. The rest of the Kumogakure looked at Chiba with mocking eyes, as if mocking his ignorance. But was that really the case? As Chiba said, who is the arrogant one between him and the Raikage? Kid, today I'll show you the foolishness of your decision. According to the bet, if you lose, you must return to Kumogakure with me. Besides offering your eyes, I'll make you feel the pain of provoking me, the Raikage declared. As he finished speaking, the lightning around him intensified. His hair stood on end, clearly indicating that his body had reached its peak of activity. Although his tone was full of arrogance, the Raikage also knew that he should not underestimate Chiba. And at this moment, the Raikage was faintly excited. Ever since Minato died, he thought he was the fastest in the ninja world. But it was also from that time that he began to feel lonely, the loneliness of being at the top. Now, someone finally dared to challenge him, even though he was a brat who didn't know his place. If you lose, Chiba put his arm around Samu's waist. She wants to be my maid for a month. Chapter 31 Thunder Bomb. A maid for a month. As soon as these words were spoken, several hostile glances from the Kumogakure ninjas were instantly fixed on Chiba. Samu was a true goddess in Kumogakure. Countless men pursued her, and countless more secretly admired her. But now, Chiba was offering their goddess a month-long maid service. Such an insult, who could endure it? Several Kumogakure ninjas immediately threatened to tear Chiba to pieces. The Konoha ninjas quickly protected Chiba, and the two sides engaged in a standoff. However, during the standoff, Hinata Hayashi turned around and glanced at Chiba, the fury in his eyes sending a chill through Chiba. Hinata wasn't angry yet, but was his future father-in-law about to lose his temper? Of course, there was one other person who didn't turn back, but Chiba could still sense her wrath. Samu struggled slightly in Chiba's embrace, but the restraints on her body hadn't yet been lifted, and she couldn't break free from Chiba's arms. After a brief struggle, she gave up. After spending time together in Konoha these days, Samu's aversion to Chiba had softened. However, now, in front of so many people, Chiba's embrace etched a blush on her face, and she glared at him fiercely. But this scene was hard for the Kumogakure to accept. To them, it was just a flirtation, and many of Samu's admirers were devastated. A genjutsu. It had to be a genjutsu. Shameless Konoha had cast a genjutsu on my goddess. How else could she remain unresponsive to someone touching her waist? Is this still the aloof goddess I imagined? Many people were having the same internal monologue. As for the Raikage, he was naturally even more furious. It wasn't because he had any feelings for Samu, but rather because he saw this as a provocation from Chiba, both to him and to all of Kumogakure. How do you compare? Tell me, you little brat, I'll make you pay for it soon. Chiba glanced in one direction. 1 kilometer, we'll each send a ninja to place a flag 1 kilometer away. Whoever grabs the flag first and runs back here wins, Chiba said. The Raikage pondered for a moment, then nodded. This competition was indeed fair. Chiba had no intention of arguing with the rules. After all, possessing the Thunder Fruit, he had no fear of the Raikage. The Raikage turned and glanced at Daru. Chiba glanced at Hyuga Hayashi beside him. As the head of the Hyuga clan, Hayashi was undoubtedly the most steadfast on Chiba's side. The two understood each other and stepped out simultaneously. Chiba then pulled out a pre-made flag and tossed it to Hayashi. The two set off simultaneously, disappearing from view moments later. Byakugan, Chiba activated his Byakugan. A kilometer was perfectly within his field of vision, allowing him to clearly see the two men competing against each other as they advanced. Soon, the flag was planted. "We can go," Chiba declared. The next second, everyone saw two bolts of lightning flash simultaneously. Chiba was secretly surprised. Ever since he obtained the Thunder Fruit, no one had ever been able to match his speed. This had led Chiba to become overconfident, and he had underestimated the Raikage's strength. Now, it seemed, the Raikage's speed was no less impressive than his. Chiba was shocked, and so was the Raikage. Chiba had only been possessing the Thunder Fruit for a month, and he still had so much to learn about the ninja world. But since the Raikage had reached the pinnacle of speed in the Hidden Cloud Village many years ago, he had only lost once, to Minato. After Minato's death, he felt the loneliness of invincibility. But now, a 12-year-old kid could rival him in speed. He was completely shocked. Even though both the men were amazed at each other's speed, their competitive spirit was simultaneously aroused. "You're quite a good brat, but you'll surely be defeated by me today," the Raikage roared, his lightning flashing once more. At this moment, he had finally activated his body to its full potential, his speed reaching a new level. Even with Chiba's eye technique, he could barely see the Raikage. In his field of vision, he looked like a flash of lightning. But Chiba refused to give in. Unleashing the full power of the Thunder Fruit, he pursued the Raikage once more. 1 kilometer might not sound short, but it was 2 kilometers round trip. But for their speed, it was nothing. Soon, they spotted the flag stuck in the ground. They both reached out and, almost simultaneously, grabbed the small flag. Crackling, crackling, electric shocks echoed, and currents coursed through their bodies. Chiba and the Raikage locked eyes. At that moment, they realized that speed alone was no longer enough to determine the winner. Thunderblade, the Raikage unleashed another Thunderblade strike, but this time, it wasn't a simple test, but a single strike powerful enough to instantly kill an elite Chunin. Facing this attack, Chiba was no match for him. Thundershock, a supersonic shockwave created by lightning cleaving the air, deflecting any incoming attack. The Raikage felt a tingling sensation on his skin, even though he was clad in a lightning armor. He knew that while his attack could injure Chiba, Chiba's attack could also injure him. Furthermore, the power of the supersonic shockwave might be even greater than his own physical attack. Despite this, the Raikage showed no sign of retreating. As he charged, he suddenly leaped forward. Chiba hadn't expected the Raikage to be able to suddenly change his trajectory at such speed. Since both of them were clutching the small flag, Chiba was caught unawares when the Raikage lifted his right hand high, sending him careening off the ground. With a strike, the Raikage easily dodged Chiba's lightning strike. Thunder Bomb, the Raikage, naturally not wanting to miss this opportunity, lifted Chiba into the air and slammed him down. He unleashed a full-force Thunder Bomb. Boom! A loud bang, a cloud of dust rising. Chiba, lying on the ground, was instantly still. Chapter 32, Take a Stick from Old Sun. Thunder Bomb, boom. With a resounding thud, Chiba's body was slammed to the ground. A kilometer away, the Hyuga clan, observing the situation with their Byakugan, were furious. Hyuga Hayashi even considered making a move to rescue him. But as soon as he moved, the Kumogakure ninja blocked his path. While the Kumogakure didn't have the Byakugan, they did have ninja with sensory abilities, able to sense the situation on the battlefield. HMPH. Kid, you're done, but there's probably no one else in the ninja world who can match my speed to this degree. With your death, I'll once again feel the loneliness of invincibility. The Raikage gazed at Chiba on the ground, then tossed his body to the ground, silently thinking. Just as he was about to return, he suddenly noticed the flag still clutched by Chiba. In the previous fight, he had been so focused on killing Chiba that he had forgotten about the flag. After a moment's reflection, the Raikage bent down and prepared to take the flag from Chiba. At least he'd completed the bet, as a sign of respect for the brat. But at that moment, the Raikage's pupils suddenly constricted. The next second, a soft fist slammed down on him. Soft fist, 8 trigrams 64 palms, bang, bang, bang. Chiba, who had awakened at some point, was now striking the Raikage with palm after palm. The Hyuga clan's soft fists were inherently a nemesis of physical techniques. Chiba, his Byakugan activated, struck the Raikage with precise acupuncture points with each blow. Combined with the power of the Thunder Fruit, even the Raikage, with his lightning armor, was powerless. How is this possible? This brat, he clearly had no heartbeat just now. The Raikage's face was filled with resentment, his physical pain forgotten, his mind baffled. Finally, after the 64 palms were complete, the Raikage's body was thrown back a full 20 meters, leaving a deep gully in the ground. Even after taking Chiba's 8 trigrams 64 palms, the Raikage remained standing. But at this moment, the bloodstains on his body made him look a bit disheveled. The Raikage ripped off his clothes, his fury soaring. The lightning armor that Chiba had shattered solidified once more, and the wounds on the Raikage's body healed at a visible speed. This was the powerful ability of the Raikage, possessing a top-tier physique in the ninja world. "Kid, why didn't you die just now?" the Raikage demanded. Chiba, recalling it now, felt a wave of fear. If he hadn't used the Thunder Fruit's electrotherapy to revitalize his stopped heart, he might have died. However, Chiba didn't answer the Raikage's question. There was no need to reveal all his cards. After the Thunder Fruit revitalized Chiba's body, Chiba immediately launched a counterattack. But Chiba hadn't expected that even his sudden attack wouldn't be enough to defeat the Raikage. The fourth Raikage's physical strength was now comparable to that of the third. Fighting 1 against 10,000 would only lead to death by exhaustion. Chiba's eyes fixed, and then he immediately turned and ran in the direction they had started from. Fortunately, this bet was about speed. Otherwise, with his current strength, he wouldn't have been able to defeat the Raikage unless he used all his cards. This battle also made Chiba realize the power of the so-called cage in the ninja world. The Raikage saw Chiba's movements and immediately set off to follow. The two figures once again transformed into 2 bolts of lightning, rushing towards the finish line. "Here they come, who is it?" a sentient ninja at the finish line spoke. Almost at the same time, "How is that possible? That brat just took the Raikage's Thunder Bomb. No one has ever survived that attack," Daru exclaimed in astonishment. Not only him, but the others were also extremely shocked. As members of Kumogakure, and as its elite, they knew better than anyone the terrifying power of the Raikage. Among the Konoha crowd, one figure had a very complicated expression. When Samui had just learned from the Hyuga clan ninja that Chiba had been hit by the Thunder Bomb, her heart had tightened, and she couldn't help but feel extremely nervous. Now, seeing Chiba still moving freely and even upholding the bet, she finally felt relieved. But then, thinking of her bet with Chiba, Samui gritted her teeth again. At that moment, she didn't know if she wanted Chiba to die there. "Here they come," someone said. This time, there was no need for a sensory ninja to report the situation, as everyone could already see 2 bolts of lightning approaching the finish line. Chiba gritted his teeth. He realized that the Raikage behind him was actually faster than before. Although he had a slight advantage at the start, this stage not only didn't allow him to widen the gap with the Raikage, but the gap between them was actually shrinking. If he continued at this pace, Chiba knew he would be caught before the finish line. "No way," Chiba thought helplessly. Although he now possessed the power of the Thunder Fruit, which allowed him to gain a foothold in the ninja world. But his ninjutsu skills were still limited. Besides the power of the Thunder Fruit, he only had the few magical instruments that Frog had brought back not long ago. "Come out, Ruai Jingu Bang," Chiba muttered silently. Then, a staff appeared in his hand. Glittering with golden light, it was inscribed, "Weighs 13,500 kilograms, what is that?" Hinata Hayashi, using his Byakugan, could already see the 2 men's current appearances. Seeing the staff in Chiba's hand, he couldn't help but feel curious. However, Hinata Hayashi knew that what Chiba could produce at this moment must be extraordinary. By then, the 4th Raikage had already arrived behind Chiba. Although he had also noticed the staff that had appeared in Chiba's hand, he dismissed it as a mere weapon and didn't care. After all, to him, his body was the strongest spear, he didn't need any other weapons. "Go to hell," Chiba roared, then leaped to his feet, spun around, raised the golden cudgel, and struck the Raikage behind him. "Monster, take this stick from me." At this moment, Chiba unexpectedly shouted, leaving the Raikage bewildered. Even so, seeing Chiba actually take the initiative, the Raikage's lips curled up. Undeterred, he charged directly at Chiba. Ipendoku, the Raikage extended his right hand and extended a finger. This was the 3rd Raikage's renowned ninja technique, and today, he would perform it once again. Chapter 33 Victory. 4, 3, 2, 1. The Raikage's fingers dwindled, and when only one remained, it lunged directly at Chiba's golden cudgel. Oh no, In the Konoha crowd, Hyuga Hayashi watched and gasped. "Father, what's wrong?" Hinata, standing nearby, quickly tugged on his sleeve. Hayashi's face was solemn. "This is the third Raikage's taijutsu, said to be the strongest spear capable of piercing anything. Concentrate all your chakra onto 4 fingers. As the number of fingers decreases, the power of this move grows stronger. The 4th Raikage has completely inherited the 3rd Raikage's ninjutsu, even surpassing it. Now that only 1 finger remains, I'm afraid." Hayashi stopped talking. But everyone in Konoha was in a state of panic. Meanwhile, the faces of the Kumogakure were filled with excitement. That was the Ippon Kant, the technique that had made the 3rd Raikage famous throughout the ninja world. Now, it could finally be unveiled to the world. Although they didn't know what weapon Chiba wielded, no matter what it was, it couldn't withstand the Ippon Kant Shao. Boom! At that moment, a resounding explosion echoed, followed by a gust of wind that swept all around. The two were so close to the finish line that the explosion was almost like a blast in their ears. Even though they were the village's elite, the aftermath was so powerful that they couldn't help but step back. A huge cloud of dust obscured everyone's vision. The Hyuga clan members tried to use their Byakugan, but the surrounding sandstorm made it difficult for them to open their eyes. Hinata's heart tightened upon seeing this, and she stumbled over to check on Chiba, but was grabbed by Hyuga Hayashi. Yuhikirina gritted her teeth and prepared to rush out. No matter what, she couldn't bear to see Chiba suffer. Samui clenched her fists tightly and whispered a prayer, though no one knew to whom she was praying. At that moment, everyone vaguely saw a figure slowly approaching from the smoke and dust. Then, with a single step, it reached the finish line. Who is it? Everyone's minds were filled with questions, their hearts in their throats. A whoosh! A strong wind howled past. The smoke and dust cleared, and the figure appeared before everyone's eyes. Handsome features, a bright smile, and the weariness of a recent battle. After a brief moment, everyone in Konoha cheered. It was none other than Chiba. Seeing this, the Kumogakure people hurried to the scene of the clash. They saw the Raikage lying in a deep pit. His right hand was a bloody mess, and his index finger was completely deformed. How is this possible? Even with the truth before their eyes, the Kumogakure people still couldn't believe it. This man was the Raikage. This move was the Ippon Kant. But it seemed that the Ippon Kant had been defeated, and defeated head-on. From then on, the strongest spear in the ninja world had changed hands. Konoha undoubtedly won the bet. At that moment, everyone in Kumogakure was deeply dissatisfied, but with the Raikage unconscious, no one dared to take action against Konoha. Medical squad, Daru immediately summoned them. As the Raikage's right-hand man, he naturally had the final say. Under Daru's command, the medical team immediately sent the Raikage back. Daru then approached the celebrating Chiba. "Are you convinced?" Chiba looked at Daru with a defiant expression. "Huh?" Daru took a deep breath. He was naturally deeply dissatisfied, but with the Raikage unconscious, he couldn't arbitrarily initiate war with Konoha. "Congratulations. According to the bet, Kumogakure will no longer pursue the previous matter, and peace will be restored between the two countries," Daru declared. However, Chiba wasn't satisfied. He immediately embraced Samui, who was standing beside him. "Have you forgotten about her?" Sam leaned against Kainai's embrace, feeling the gazes from all around her. She blushed and lowered her head. She clutched her sleeve, unable to articulate her feelings. Did she want Daru to activate the Kumogakure ninja and forcibly take her away? Or did she want to be taken back by Kainai and become his personal maid for a month? But, this hand. Sam felt Kainai's hand around her waist was not at all honest, and she immediately glared at Kainai beside her. But Kainai didn't care. A month was plenty of time for Kainai to properly discipline Sam. And Kainai had already decided to swallow the rejuvenating pill. At worst, he could just use a transformation technique to return to his current appearance. Daru looked at Samui deeply. He and Samui had known each other for many years. Although he wasn't her suitor, he was her companion. Daru wanted to have Samui rescued, but he knew that doing so would violate the bet, and he didn't have the power to do so. The Kumogakure group hurried away, carrying the unconscious Raikage. Meanwhile, the Konoha group also headed back towards the village. Several figures appeared in the shadows, not revealing themselves until everyone had left, then vanishing immediately. They had already gathered the intelligence they had gathered. Inside the Hokage's office, the third Hokage surveyed the intelligence before him. He felt both relieved and uneasy. He was relieved that Chiba had won the bet, and Kumogakure would not declare war on Konoha. But he was also uneasy. Chiba's prestige within Konoha was too high. Furthermore, according to the intelligence, Chiba possessed the strength to fight the Raikage. Chiba even unleashed a mysterious weapon and severely injured the Raikage. All of this unnerved the third Hokage. Hiruzen, see. This is what happens when you indulge in, Danzo sarcastically commented. Hinata Chiba had grown up. They couldn't treat him like the useless he once was. Hyuga Chiba, like White Fang, is a threat to the village's balance, Danzo declared. Anyone present would be shocked by Danzo's words. Konoha's White Fang, once respected as a senior even by the Sannin, was a figure Danzo described as a threat to the village's balance. This was precisely because White Fang was so powerful, even surpassing the Hokage. For them, a powerful force was a blessing, but surpassing the Hokage meant no one could control him. Furthermore, White Fang's reputation was too high. What if he rebelled? This was the reason for the events of the past. Chapter 34 Maid's First Day. Back then, White Fang's prestige in Konoha was at its peak, and he was rarely rivaled in the ninja world. Yet, such a formidable figure ended up committing suicide. Was it truly due to rumors and a lack of understanding from his companions? Of course, that wasn't the case. It's just that those who knew about it were almost all dead. Danzo, upon hearing Danzo's words, the third Hokage suddenly rebuked him. Although Danzo had orchestrated the White Fang incident, he also had his tacit approval, which had left the third Hokage with years of guilt. Furthermore, the third Hokage discovered that, even after all these years, Kakashi was still secretly investigating the matter, and he wondered if he had uncovered any clues. Danzo paused. But his words had deeply touched the third Hokage. Based on Chiba's current growth trajectory, he could very well become a figure on the same level as the Sannin, or even better, the next White Fang. However, Chiba wasn't as obedient as Minato. If he allowed himself to rise to prominence, his position as Hokage would be threatened. Kill. At that moment, only one word crossed the mind of the third Hokage. With Chiba's defeat of the Raikage, peace was restored between Kumogakure and Konoha. Chiba's prestige within Konoha soared, and within the Hyuga clan, it reached its peak. After returning to Konoha, Hyuga Hayashi held a secret meeting with Hyuga Hayashi. He even considered making Chiba the head of the Hyuga clan. Chiba was completely unaware of this. At that moment, Chiba was leisurely sitting in his room, legs crossed, looking content. Next to him stood a stunning woman dressed in a bunny girl costume, with fair skin and a stunning figure. She stood beside Chiba, holding a bottle of cola and respectfully pouring it for him. Despite a respectful demeanor, her face was filled with displeasure. This woman was, of course, Samui, one of the most beautiful women in Kumogakure, and indeed in the entire ninja world. Yet, now, she was reduced to serving Chiba as a maid. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Chiba smacked her lips, savoring her cola. It still tasted the same, but today it seemed a little sweeter. Samui, standing by, glared at Chiba. After the Raikage's defeat, Samui was filled with shock. Then, she thought of her own fate, feeling utterly humiliated. As expected, upon returning to Konoha, Chiba began demanding she honor her bet. But, being a maid is being a maid, why wearing such clothes? Samui glanced down at herself. Chiba seemed to have deliberately chosen a too small outfit, practically cramping her figure. Huh? How can you be so tactless? Didn't you see I've finished my cola? With a snap. A sharp sound. Samui's face flushed. She looked at Chiba, beside her, and now she wanted to pour her cola all over him. Lecture. Samui gritted her teeth, forcing out 3 words. Kai and I turned around and locked eyes with Samui. Samui's face flushed even more red, and her fair skin made Kai and I want to bite her. Despite Samui's scolding, Kai and I's hands showed no sign of stopping. Instead, they intensified, becoming more forceful, more frequent, and more blatant. Finally, Samui could no longer bear it and gently stepped aside, avoiding Kai and I's hand. Her eyes glared at Kai and I, but her body dared not offer the slightest resistance. Samui now knew she was no match for Kai and I, and resistance would be futile. And who knew what this lecture would do to her? Kai and I felt the soft touch of his hand and then looked at Samui's chest. Samui's outfit was the low-cut one he could have chosen, and the smaller size made Samui's figure even more difficult to conceal. Give me a shoulder massage, Kai and I said to Samui. Samui rolled her eyes at Kai and I, then put down her cola and reluctantly came up behind him to massage his shoulders. Feeling the touch from behind, A smile spread across Kainai's face. This little girl was becoming increasingly obedient. Samui now pressed her body against Kainai, afraid to move too violently because of her clothes, as they might tear. And now, pressed so closely against Kainai, Samui sniffed her scent, and for some reason, she seemed to detect a faint fragrance. This surprised Samui, as she had long heard from a medical ninja in Kumogakure that smelling a body odor on someone meant their genes had chosen them. Samui stared at Kainai in astonishment. This brat. Samui, at this moment, still didn't dare to face her own heart. And just as Samui was feeling mixed emotions, Kainai was also struggling. He still had a rejuvenating pill in his system. As long as he swallowed the anti-aging pill, his body would easily transform into that of an 18-year-old. Then, wouldn't Samui behind him be allowed to the slaughter? Feeling the warmth behind him, Chiba couldn't help but feel a slight heat build up inside him. Afterward, he could use the transformation technique to maintain this state without being noticed. As Chiba struggled internally, he suddenly felt a pressure from behind. A soft warmth pressed against his back. Chiba turned slightly and saw that Samui had closed her eyes. After a long journey back to Konoha, Samui hadn't rested at all before being forced to change into these clothes and serve as Chiba's maid. She was exhausted, both physically and mentally. Just now, Samui had fallen asleep while standing. Samui's entire body now rested on Chiba, allowing him to clearly feel her contours. Chiba, already thirsty, felt his blood boiling. No, it was his animal blood boiling. Kainai slowly turned around, his movements gentle enough not to disturb the already asleep Samui. He then lifted Samui's delicate body by the waist and gently walked towards the bed. After gently setting Samui down, a command crossed Kainai's mind, and the rejuvenating pill appeared in his hand. Kainai now looked at the sleeping Samui. The room was strangely quiet. Samui's even breathing and Kainai's nervous heartbeat merged together. After a mental struggle, Kainai finally made up his mind. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Seduction. Knock, knock, knock. Chiba stared at the rejuvenation pill in his hand, and at Samui, who had fallen into deep sleep before him. His inner struggle finally came to a head. But just as he was about to swallow the pill, there was a knock on the door. Chiba was surprised, for he had already instructed others not to disturb him. With his prestige within the Hyuga clan, no one should have disobeyed him. Knock, knock. Just as Chiba stared at the door in displeasure, the knock came again. Who is it? Chiba asked impatiently, opening the door. He had already decided that even if it was Hyuga Hayashi who opened the door, he would give him a good beating. But when Chiba opened the door, he was greeted by a petite figure. Chiba ni Hinata called timidly, then tilted her head slightly to try to see what was going on inside. Hinata Chiba quickly closed the door and lifted Hinata up. Why are you here? Chiba was puzzled. He could handle any member of the Hyuga clan, but Hinata was the only one he couldn't handle. Hinata hesitated for a long time, unable to articulate a single thought. However, her little head kept glancing to the side, as if trying to see what was happening inside the room. Chiba blocked Hinata's view and then lifted her up. Just then, Chiba's sixth sense suddenly sensed someone watching him. Byakugan, Chiba shouted angrily, veins bulging on his face, the perfect time for his Byakugan to be activated. Soon, Chiba's field of vision encompassed the entire Hyuga clan, and he spotted the person watching them with their Byakugan. Hyuga Hayashi. Upon seeing him, Chiba suddenly understood. No wonder Hinata was here. Alice. It seems the Hyuga clan lacks privacy. If they want to do anything, they'll have to establish a secret base outside. Chiba thought to himself. At the same time, he felt helpless about his future father-in-law, but he couldn't argue with him in person. With no other choice, Chiba could only carry Hinata and go play with her. After Chiba left, Samui, who had been soundly asleep, slowly opened her eyes. Samui glanced toward the door, her pretty face flushed slightly, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Then, she closed her eyes again and drifted off to sleep. Konoha village. Chiba was strolling casually with Hinata. Hinata was still a little girl, after all, and the strict rules of the Hyuga clan meant she rarely had the chance to relax like this. Now with Chiba, Hinata was naturally extremely excited, liking everything she saw. Soon, Chiba's hands were filled with small toys. Meanwhile, Chiba's wallet was also empty. He had previously relied on his family's living expenses, and even though he had become a ninja, he hadn't received any missions yet, so money was still a bit tight. This only intensified Chiba's desire to make money. Just as Hinata's eyes watered at the sight of a string of candied haws, Chiba suddenly caught sight of a familiar figure. The white-haired figure was hiding on a rooftop, observing the distant scenery through a telescope. Byakugan, Chiba followed the figure's gaze and saw an open-air bath. A knowing smile crossed his face. This old man, just like in the original novel. Chiba left to clone to accompany Hinata, while his original self ran towards the figure. Ahohaho, not bad. Konoha girls still have great figures. The white-haired figure was sitting on a toad, observing Konoha's scenery through a telescope, his pen scribbling something. This was his inspiration for his work. At that moment, the white-haired figure heard a gust of wind behind him, but he didn't even turn. The iron-armed toad beneath him immediately turned, spitting out its long tongue and snagging at the person behind him. An ordinary ninja wouldn't have even had a chance to dodge this sudden attack. After all, who would have guessed that the white-haired figure was riding a summoned beast? But Chiba was no ordinary ninja. The moment he saw the iron-armed toad turn, Chiba was instantly alert. Seeing the iron-armed toad's attack, Chiba flashed and easily grabbed its tongue. Then, with a sharp tug, he flung it flying. Bang! The iron-armed toad disintegrated into a puff of smoke in mid-air, returning directly to Mount Myaboku. The white-haired figure snorted as it was pulled from the iron-armed toad's body before finally turning around. With white hair, a pair of lustful eyes, and two distinctive facial features, it was none other than Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas of Konoha. Kid, get out of my way. Jiraiya simply glanced at Chiba, then turned away, continuing to observe the scenery through his telescope. Chiba showed no sign of anger at Jiraiya's dismissiveness. Instead, he naturally came over to Jiraiya's side. Jiraiya-sama, Chiba greeted warmly. You're the kid who defeated Kakashi, right? I've read your book. It's quite good, but, as he spoke, Jiraiya glanced at Chiba standing beside him. Compared to my intimate paradise, it's still a bit inferior. Jiraiya's face was filled with dissatisfaction. Although Chiba's young XXX had also captivated him, he'd read it for several nights straight. But since ancient times, there has always been no one best writer. Looking at the entire Naruto world, Jiraiya was undoubtedly a leading figure in the erotic fiction world, and his intimate paradise had consistently topped the bestseller lists. Naturally, he wouldn't accept that. Of course, Chiba said with a smile, then pulled a small booklet from his pocket. Jiraiya-sama's books have always been my go-to for learning. This is a new novel I've written, and I haven't picked a title yet. I'd like to ask Jiraiya-sama for some pointers. Jiraiya glanced at Chiba, then feigned indifference as he took the book. He flipped through it. 1 page. 2 pages. 3 pages. Holy crap. Jiraiya became increasingly captivated as he read, completely lost in the ocean of books. As the sun set, Jiraiya finally finished the book. But he felt unsatisfied, as this was only the first volume of Chiba's new book. As Jiraiya looked up, Chiba suddenly disintegrated into a puff of smoke. The art of seduction, bang. When the smoke cleared, Chiba's figure had long since vanished, replaced by a beautiful girl. Holy crap, Jiraiya's nose instantly erupted with 2 streams of blood. Chapter 36 The Road to Great Writers. You little brat, who taught you to use that kind of ninjutsu? Despicable, disgusting. Jiraiya covered his nose and spoke in high-sounding words. Chiba smiled slightly, his eyes telling the whole story. Jiraiya felt a little uncomfortable. Cough, cough. After 2 light coughs, Jiraiya waved the book in his hand. Your book is quite good, but it's only the first volume, so I can't tell much. This old man must be eager to read the rest of the book. Chiba muttered to himself, but he still maintained a friendly smile on the surface. It couldn't be helped. After witnessing the power of the 4th Raikage, Chiba had a clearer understanding of the power levels in the ninja world. Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas, could not be less powerful than the 4th Raikage. Besides, there was no need to clash with Jiraiya. It had to be said that Chiba still liked Jiraiya very much. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together, oh no, like-minded. Besides, if he wanted to make a name for himself in the literary world, wouldn't he have to rely heavily on Jiraiya? Alice, it can't be helped. I haven't found a publishing channel for my previous book, Young Master XXX, yet, so I really don't have time to write a new one." Chiba sighed, his eyes gazing at Jiraiya. Jiraiya pinched his chin, sizing up the brat before him. "Ha, little fox. Ha, old fox." The two of them muttered to each other in unison. "How about this? Don't worry about publishing, I'll take care of it for you. Just focus all your energy on your new book, okay?" Jiraiya pondered. "Great." The fish took the bait. Chiba was delighted, but he also knew there was no such thing as a free lunch. Jiraiya was helping him, surely hoping to get something from him. Sure enough, Jiraiya continued. "But from now on, I must be the first to review your new book. Not even that Kakashi can get past me, and we'll split all the publishing revenue 50-50, 50-50? What a big ask," Chiba grimaced. "Jiraiya-sama, you're a writer too. You know the pain writers go through. 50-50, isn't that too much?" Chiba held up 2 fingers. 28, no, at least 37, deal, Chiba agreed quickly, so quickly that even Jiraiya felt a little regretful he'd bargained too low. But once the senin say something, it's unchangeable. With a clap of hands, one large and one small, Chiba not only established a good relationship with Jiraiya, but also secured his support, freeing him from worrying about the book's sales. With a roll of his eyes, Chiba stared at the telescope in Jiraiya's hand with a malicious grin. "Jiraiya-sama, good things can't be kept to oneself, oh? Could you be into that?" A burst of male laughter quickly echoed from the rooftop. Uchiha clan territory. Itachi sat cross-legged on the ground, quietly polishing his sword. His hands kept moving, but Itachi's heart remained restless. The tension between the village and the Uchiha clan was growing increasingly tense. How could someone as clever as him not sense the mutual feelings between the village and the clan? Protection, not sacrifice, is the meaning of the village. Chiba's words rang loudly in Itachi's ears. In that brief moment of distraction, when Itachi regained consciousness, a strange masked man suddenly appeared before him. Sharingan, opening his eyes without hesitation, Itachi stared at the man before him, his breath heavy. "This is Uchiha clan territory, ordinary people are not allowed to enter. Who is this person? What is his purpose? Don't show off in front of my eyes." The masked man smiled sinisterly, and then his right eye slowly transformed, becoming an eye identical to Itachi's. Itachi was petrified. "I am Uchiha Madara," the masked man shouted arrogantly. Even through the mask, Itachi could imagine the corners of his mouth curled up. Impossible, if Madara-sama were still alive, he would definitely be an elderly man. "And you are not," Itachi said calmly, putting away his Sharingan. Although the man in front of him could not be Uchiha Madara, he definitely had a close relationship with the Uchiha clan. Eyes don't lie. Itachi decided to wait and see. Haha, he is indeed a genius of this generation of the Uchiha clan. He couldn't help but think of Hinata Chiba, who also saw through his identity, and a deep disgust appeared in his eyes. Suppressing his inner emotions, the masked man curled his lips. He did not refute Itachi, but he did not reveal his identity either. "Itachi, the Uchiha have become more and more restless recently. Isn't it time to speed up your plan?" The masked man's words made Itachi tremble all over. He stared into the masked man's single eye, and his murderous intent grew stronger. Few people knew about his plan. "Don't look at me like that, the interests of the village are above all else. An Uchiha seizure of power will only severely damage Konoha's vitality. Other ninja villages will then take advantage of the situation and swoop in. Without the third Hokage and Danzo, how long can the village last? Not to mention that most of the Uchiha people will be killed or wounded in the civil war. Konoha will become a complete paper tiger. Any powerful person will be able to destroy the entire village. Itachi, even if you don't think about the village, you have to think about Sasuke." The masked man spoke with seemingly deep meaning, each word hammering at Itachi's heart. He knew Itachi was wavering. "Look," Itachi froze even in the act of polishing his knife. "Brother," at that moment, Uchiha Sasuke's childish voice echoed from outside the door, and Itachi's pupils fluttered violently. Bang! Sasuke opened the door, revealing Itachi alone. "Brother, you look so pale," Sasuke said with concern. It's okay." In front of Sasuke, Itachi was always so gentle. "Brother is just a little tired." The appearance of the masked man made Itachi even more confused. In the past, at this time, he would go to Shiso and ask Shiso for advice. However, Shiso was already dead. His heart ached. Suddenly, Itachi thought of someone, Hinata Chiba. That night, a figure swaggered into the Uchiha clan territory. The clan members who came and went cast envious and jealous glances at him, but the man didn't care at all. The grass in his mouth swayed up and down with his steps, not to mention how arrogant he was. What if he didn't like him? After all, it was their family head's eldest son who invited him here. Chiba thought so and raised his hand to knock on Itachi's door. "I'm here," a gentle female voice came from behind the door. Chiba was startled and his heartstrings trembled. The door opened, and the black-haired Uchiha Mikado stood at the door, smiling at Chiba. "It's over. If Yuikirna is here, his soft flesh will be in trouble again." Chapter 37 The Strongest Mouth Fight. In the room, Chiba and Itachi sat face to face for a long moment, Itachi saying nothing. Chiba didn't understand why at first, until he thought of that man. He took a sip from his teacup. "Are you thinking about the mission Danzo gave you, or has someone come looking for you?" Chiba asked tentatively. Sure enough, Itachi's shoulders trembled, his entire body tense. "You really can't hide anything from Chiba-kun," Itachi said with a wry smile. A barrier had long been cast around the room. With a deep sigh, Itachi expressed his worries and hesitations. "Let me summarize," Chiba smiled faintly after Itachi's long speech. "I'm worried about the village, and about Sasuke, so you see, you don't really care about the Uchiha clan's life or death." Itachi frowned, the tears troughing his eyes even more bitterly. Indeed, he had never held any affection for the Uchiha clan. Except, of course, for Shiso and Sasuke. "So, Chiba-kun also supports me in speeding up the process." After a moment of contemplation, Uchiha Itachi said softly, his voice low and hoarse. "I didn't say that," Chiba quickly denied it. "Did this guy listen carefully to what he said last time? Then remind him again. Remember what I said last time? Protection is the meaning of the village, not sacrifice." "That's not it. Although that's also very important." Chiba slapped his forehead suddenly, wanting to cry but no tears. He sat up straight, his face rarely wearing a serious expression. "I say, if we just change the leader, all problems will be solved. As the saying goes, if you don't change the mindset, change the person." The third Hokage is old, weak, and submissive. As long as he doesn't make mistakes, he can maintain his former reputation and achievements. Danzo is ruthless and will do anything to achieve his goals. Which of these two is worth such a heavy price? Who will protect Sasuke after he betrays the village? You saw what happened to Naruto. Chiba picked up his teacup and blew away the tea leaves. He looked calm, but inside he was nervous as hell. He really wasn't good at persuasion. If only he could bring his little brother Naruto to persuade Itachi. Naruto's persuasion skills were unmatched. After all, Chiba didn't want Itachi to repeat the path of genocide. It wasn't that he felt sorry for the Uchiha clan, but more importantly, the Uchiha clan was far more useful alive than dead. As long as the Uchiha clan existed, the third Hokage and Danzo would focus on them, not themselves. Furthermore, as the conflict between the village and the Uchiha clan intensified, some would inevitably grow dissatisfied with the third's rule. Killing two birds with one stone. Just as Chiba hesitated whether to offer further advice, Itachi chuckled softly across from him, and the melancholy that enveloped him vanished without a trace. "Thank you, Chiba-kun," Itachi smiled, his eyes gleaming with a brilliance never before seen. After a long conversation with Itachi, it was already nightfall. Ever since Shiso's death, Itachi had rarely smiled, let alone brought friends home. Mikado was relieved and delighted, insisting that Chiba stay for dinner. That was Uchiha Mikado. Mikado with long, dark hair. Chiba agreed almost instantly and sat down at Itachi's table. But why did he have to sit across from Fugaku? With Fugaku around, the atmosphere at the table was tense, especially with Sasuke, who was so timid in front of Fugaku that he couldn't even hold his chopsticks steady. Seeing this timid look, Fugaku's expression darkened even further. "Sasuke, how were your training results today, father?" "I've been training for a long time. I'm asking about the results," Fugaku interrupted Sasuke coldly, not speaking like a father to his child. Sasuke fell silent, tears welling in his eyes. "Fugaku-kun, Sasuke's working very hard." Mikado hurried in to lighten the mood. "HMPH, a loving mother often spoils her child. My son, Uchiha Fugaku, can't be such a weakling. If he had even half the effort of Itachi, he wouldn't have been blind until now." "You're embarrassing me." How could the Uchiha clan leader face up to being dissuaded by Mikado in front of so many people? Staring at Chiba's calm face, Fugaku was furious and slammed his chopsticks on the table. He had been having a tough time lately. The pressure from the village was increasing, and with the emergence of a genius like Chiba in the Hyuga family, even Itachi was almost overshadowed. The clan's opinions of him grew, especially after Shisu's death. The Uchiha's strength had dwindled, and many members were unwilling to oppose the village. If Sasuke could become the Uchiha's next genius. Fugaku looked at Sasuke, and when he saw the tears in his eyes, he knew the boy was beyond saving. HMPH, Fugaku stood up and left with a sullen face, his demeanor threateningly low. Mikado stared at her husband's cold and unyielding back, her lips moving but ultimately saying nothing. Itachi smiled apologetically at Chiba. It was a rare occasion for a friend to come to his house for dinner, and he didn't want to witness this. Chiba waved his hand, dismissing it. But just because he didn't take it personally didn't mean he didn't understand. Fugaku's strength, Mikado's weakness, and that scar on Mikado's wrist. Tisk, how dare you treat Mikado like this, Uchiha Fugaku, you deserve to be exterminated. Chiba taunted Fugaku inwardly, but when he looked at Mikado, his eyes were filled with pity and affection. No, this is Itachi's mother. Chiba shook his head, trying to shake off the inappropriate thoughts in his mind, but his eyes just couldn't control themselves. If nothing else, at least Mikado's cooking skills were quite good. After a satisfying meal, Chiba lay down on his bed and slept soundly. The next day, Chiba was awakened by a loud slap. Damn it! Who spanked me? Chiba was furious, but when he saw Kurina's face, all his anger disappeared. Kurina, why are you here? Chiba asked, rubbing his eyes. And how did you get in? I'm your team leader, of course I can come in, Kurina said, her hands on her hips. The thought of Hinata Hayashi's defensive attitude when she saw her made her furious. Hayashi must have known about Chiba and Hinata's relationship, right? Kurina was so angry that her teeth itched, and she slapped Chiba on the butt again. Ouch, Chiba wailed, and then something occurred to him. Are you my leading Jonin? Yes, hurry up and get up, our mission has been assigned, Kurina he said, raising the scroll in her hand. There is very important information in the hidden cloud village, we need to get it back. Chapter 38 Calculation. Kumogakure, Chiba was stunned, his eyes gleaming with a sharp gleam. He'd just beaten the Raikage into the hospital, and the third Kai was sending him to Kumogakure. Wasn't that a blatant act of sending him to his death? His intentions were clear to everyone. A perfect trick to kill with a boro knife. Furthermore, if anything were to happen to him, the third Kai could use this as a threat to Kumogakure, increasing his bargaining power. Although you're only a Jonin now, the third Kai admires your skills, so he assigned you this kind of mission right from the start, Kurina he explained on the third Kai's behalf, but her brows furrowed. Everyone could see that Kakashi had let Chiba off during the assessment, but the third Kai still insisted that Chiba was up to the task, and her dissuasion had been ineffective. With a soft sigh, Kurina lowered her gaze to Chiba's still clearly childish face, unwilling to doubt the third Kai's character and intentions. What about the other two ninjas going with us? Are they as skilled as I am? The third Kai admires them, too, Chiba scoffed. Ninja missions usually involve one Jonin letting 3 Jonin. The third day she clearly didn't care about the lives of the other two. Worse still, he'd even sacrifice Kurina. A woman without a family to protect her, gone. Not a big deal, not going to cause a stir. Chiba pondered, gazing through the window toward Hokage Rock, unconcealing his disgust. Kurina's frown deepened. What Chiba said was exactly what she suspected. The other two, one from the Aburame clan, the other from the Yamanaka clan, are both very powerful. Chiba raised an eyebrow, almost doubting the third Daishi's intentions. The Aburame and the Yamanaka were pillars of the village, and the third Daishi would have to think twice before bullying them. So, either the third Daishi had sent just underlings from the two clans, or the goal wasn't Kumogakure at all, but something else. Rolling his eyes, Chiba realized that in either case, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. Chiba remained silent, and Kurina thought he was worried about the mission. Don't worry, teacher, I'll protect you, Kurina rubbed Chiba's head. The touch was surprisingly good, and Chiba enjoyed it comfortably, with no intention of getting up. Just like the last time they kissed. Inexplicably remembering this, Kurina's face flushed even more. Get up, another slap landed on Chiba's butt. Ouch! Leave my butt alone, Chiba wailed, but his lips curled slightly, his deep gaze hidden in the pillow. A conspiracy? In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and plots were futile. Because this was Chiba's first mission, when he was about to leave Konoha, Hyuga Hayashi specifically sought him out. Hinata was also in Hayashi's room. The little girl had her head down, and even though she didn't meet Chiba's eyes, Chiba could sense her worry. "Okay, brother will be back safely. You have to believe in brother's strength," Chiba smiled faintly. If Hayashi hadn't been there, he would have already pulled Hinata into his arms and comforted her. Ahem. Hyuga Hayashi coughed twice, his eyes fixed on Chiba with a complicated expression. He and Hisashi had discussed training Chiba as the next head of the Hyuga clan, letting him lead the Hyuga clan to its peak. Furthermore, his daughter had also fallen for Chiba, which was a double blessing, a perfect match. But Chiba was so young, yet his ways were. Thinking of Yuhi Kurenai, who had come so openly this morning, gave Hayashi a headache. "Chiba, we're going on a mission tomorrow. Do you have anything you want to say?" "I've said everything I wanted to say," Chiba said calmly, revealing a calmness unlike anyone his age. He would be back safely, whether the third Hokage wanted him to die in Kumogakure or not. This composure, in Hayashi's eyes, was a comforting sight. "Chiba, although the village's missions have become more difficult due to talent shortage and the current tense situation, this one is clearly beyond your capabilities. If you don't want to go, I can speak to the Hokage. The Hyuga clan still has some respect." Chiba was a talent the Hyuga clan was about to cultivate, and sending him to Kumogakure was something Hayashi didn't want to see. However, considering Chiba's incredibly powerful abilities, Hayashi feared his concerns would hinder his growth. Flowers can't be nurtured forever in a greenhouse, and neither can ninjas. After much deliberation, Hayashi decided to ask Chiba's opinion in person. Chiba's answer didn't surprise him too much. "Thank you, clan leader, for your kindness. However, for the sake of preserving the dignity of the Hyuga clan, let me go. Even though Raikage was defeated by me, so why should the other ninjas in Kumogakure care?" Chiba's final words completely dispelled Hayashi's concerns. Look how domineering the future head of the Hyuga clan is. With a son like this, what else is there to worry about? On a bright summer day, Chiba, carrying a simple backpack, walked out of the gates of Konoha village with Kurenai Yuhi. They were followed by two others, Yamanaka Shimura and Aburim Nana. They spoke little, and aside from the occasional glance of fear and dissatisfaction towards Chiba, they made no other small gestures. Chiba glanced at Kurenai Yuhi with a half-smile. "Your legs must be sore from all the traveling," a thought flashed through his mind, and the next second, Chiba's hands began to twitch. Kurenai stiffened, but she couldn't react because of the other two people around. Kurenai Yuhi still wore a smile, a grin that gritted her teeth. "You want to die, don't you? Put your claws back," Kurenai whispered in Chiba's ear, not wanting to cause too much noise. The teacher in charge and the students kissing and smooching, just the thought of it was embarrassing. Extending two fingers, Hong pretended to pinch the soft flesh around Chiba's waist. Unfortunately, Chiba was prepared. With a nimble dodging motion, he not only grabbed Hong's wrist but also pressed acupressure points, rendering her unable to move. Of course, his other hand didn't leave Hong's. "Let go, they're all watching," Hong was furious. In her panic, her struggles proved futile, and she only managed to pull her collar open further. "I just wanted to massage your legs," Chiba complained. "Why are you touching me? Isn't that right, Teacher Hong?" Chiba leaned into Hong's ear, emphasizing the last three words as a warning. Hong's face flushed instantly. Behind them, Yamanaka Shimura and Aburim Nana's eyes seemed to spit fire. "Don't be so blatant." Chapter 39 Rampage. In truth, Kurenai's beauty had many admirers in the village. Previously, however, fear of Asuma's status as the Hokage's son had prevented anyone from expressing their feelings. But now, with Chiba beating Asuma into the hospital, and the two of them even having the opportunity to spend time with Kurenai, Yamanaka Shimura and Aburim Nana exchanged glances, masking their dislike for Chiba while also feeling a surge of urgency. "Chiba, what the hell are you trying to do?" Kurenai gritted her teeth, wishing she could chop Chiba's claws off. Follow me." A serious expression flashed across Chiba's face, and Kurenai, startled, began to understand his intentions. She then pretended to strike Chiba, quickly shaking off the two men behind her. "What exactly is this mission?" Deep in the dense forest, Chiba whispered in Kurenai's ear. Kurenai pondered for a moment, her brows furrowed slightly. "Actually, What we're looking for this time is a method for taming the tailed beasts. The fusion of Killer Bee and the 8 tails is nearing perfection. If we can do that. Rushing footsteps sounded behind her, and Kurenai shut her mouth, unfinished. But it was enough. The Raikage had been defeated by her, and the 8 tails was Kumogakure's other trump card. After returning, the Raikage would definitely intensify Killer Bee's training. A perfect Jinchuriki is far more powerful than a cage. Therefore, Konoha couldn't lose. But more importantly, Naruto is almost a ninja, right? He's quite the shrewd fellow. Chiba snorted coldly, seeing through the Sandame's subtle thoughts. Moreover, those two who could catch up to him and Kurenai were definitely not ordinary Jinan. Chiba gazed at the silhouettes of Yamanaka Shimura and of Urame Nana, his lips curling slightly. Third Hiroki, don't let me down, Sandame. Kumogakure. On the towering peaks, a line of small black dots slowly crept upwards, extremely concealed. Illusion. 3 absolute Sakura. Kurenai easily dispatched the Kumogakure guards, and in the process, extracted from their minds the method to break the village's barrier. Chiba's eyes were filled with envy and complexity as he watched Kurenai and the others swagger into Kumogakure. Is this the power of illusion? Killing people without being seen, and still obtaining information. If only his eyes were Sharingan. Chiba felt a little lost for a moment, but quickly recovered. It didn't matter, his little frog would definitely be able to bring back some amazing illusions. He believed in it. Looking back at the Kumogakure ninjas lying on the ground at the village entrance, Chiba frowned, thinking it was a little too simple. Above the giant shadow character, the Raikage's office was brightly lit. 3rd generation, didn't you discuss this with the Kumogakure people? Chiba was secretly shocked, but he didn't rule out this possibility. He quietly pulled Kurenai in his arms. Does the scroll say where the information is? In the intelligence room, Kurenai said firmly, but Chiba's frown deepened. Logically, someone stealing crucial secrets from another village wouldn't be so meticulous. It's like telling a lie, fearing error. They meticulously scrutinize every detail, knowing that the more flawless a lie appears, the more holes it has. Who's lying? It's obvious. Chiba gave Kurenai a calm look. After a moment's hesitation, she pulled Chiba into the illusion space. What's wrong? Kurenai guessed that was what Chiba meant, and she was right. Chiba laid out her theory, and after listening, her expression was unusually solemn. You do make sense. So what should we do now? If we don't follow the village chief's intelligence, how can we steal the information, and why would the village give false information? Kurenai didn't mention the last point, but the seed of suspicion was already planted. She stared at Chiba, who smiled faintly, his confidence radiating. Whether it's the full package or not, we'll know after trying it. How do we try? Hong frowned. As the saying goes, make a feint to the east and attack in the west. In any case, we'll have to transfer the guards in the intelligence room, then why not make it big, so big that no one will have time to worry about us? The corners of his mouth curled slightly, and a hint of madness flashed in Chiba's eyes. If you dare to play, you must dare to gamble, fellow cages. The night deepened. In the intelligence room, the Raikage sat cross-legged on the ground, his clothes open, revealing his muscular body. In stark contrast to his muscular body was the bandage on his right arm. In fact, his injury had healed long ago. The recovery ability of a cage-level person is so terrifying. But who told his brother not to let him go? The 4th Raikage looked at Killer Bee helplessly, and Killer Bee immediately cried out. Hey, big brother, don't look at me like that. I'm doing this for your own good, and if I hadn't kept pestering you, wouldn't you have brought me here today? That brat could have beaten you unconscious. How dare you? 3 black lines suddenly appeared on the 4th Raikage's forehead. The Anbu ninjas and the village's Jonin were all here. Could you please give him some face? HMPH, if you let the 8 tails get out of control, you'll be even more troublesome than that brat. Remembering the sudden blow of the massive stick, the 4th Raikage's pupils trembled deeply. He still didn't know how he fainted. Damn it. His eyes darkened, and the 4th Raikage gritted his teeth, annoyed. When he caught that brat, he would torture him mercilessly. And he would force him to reveal his lightning release training method. A cage of the hidden cloud village couldn't match the speed, strength, and defense of a little brat from Konoha. How shameful. Even if Kumogakure couldn't get this thing, it couldn't stay in Konoha. Time ticked by, the air growing increasingly tense, yet the expected person remained nowhere to be seen. Brother, the Hokage won't, roar. A sudden roar interrupted Killer Bee's questioning, and then a figure stumbled over, covered in wounds. Oh no, Raikage-sama, Yukito-sama has gone berserk. What's going on? The fourth Raikage's pupils suddenly constricted. Just as the massive figure was about to charge, a thought struck him, and he paused. Gazing back at the tight network laid out in the intelligence room, the fourth Raikage hesitated. Brother, the village is important, Killer Bee whispered, pressing his shoulder. Glancing back again, he clenched his fists. Let's go. The once crowded intelligence room suddenly became much emptier. In the hidden cloud village, a cat demon raised its massive claws, instantly reducing countless houses and ninjas to ash. A group of 4 people moved around the corners, seemingly searching for something. Stop, a girl's cry suddenly rang out. Chapter 40, Making a Fortune. Kurone and the others were startled. Black insects sprang to life at the sound, quickly swooping down on the girl who had spoken. Chiba turned and saw the girl's signature crimson hair. Karu? Chiba was startled, instantly recognizing the girl. Rather than calling her a girl, it would be more accurate to say little girl, since Karu was roughly the same age as the 12 young strong men. Tiny Karu couldn't hold out for long against the Aburambugs, she was now paralyzed with fear. Frowning, Chiba grasped Aburamki's hand and shook his head. We're not bandits. Don't kill innocent people. It wasn't that Chiba was a saint, but rather the Karu would grow up to be a beauty. Oh no, a capable ally against the White Zetsu army. Aburamki looked hesitantly at Kurone, who snorted coldly and walked away without looking back. Don't cause trouble. It's better to be cautious, Kurone said coldly, addressing Aburamki, her eyes fixed on Chiba. Chiba rubbed his nose in frustration. I just happened to pull Yukido's little hand, Chiba muttered, not daring to meet Yukido's gaze. By the way, little hand, Yukido's forced smile made Chiba shudder. Back then, when Chiba said he was going to let the two-tail go berserk, everyone was shocked. But, on reflection, it seemed like a good idea. With the bugs clearing the way, Chiba and his group easily located Yukido. Yukido used illusion to sneak attack, and even if it only caused Yukido to lose consciousness for a moment, it was enough for Chiba to seize the opportunity. By the time Yukido reacted, Chiba was already straddling her. Who are you? Yukido roared. You're so bold, Yukido addressed Chiba, who was lying on top of her. I can be even bolder, Chiba declared, restraining Yukido's hands with one hand and aiming the other at the acupressure point on Yukido's head. A flash of lightning appeared at Chiba's fingertips and then pierced into Yukido's brain. Yukido let out a series of screams, and that was exactly what Chiba had intended. Acupressure points are painful even for ordinary people, let alone being struck by lightning. The pain is like ripping out bone and marrow. After the current passed through, Yukido's eyes went blank, and sweat poured out like water. Kurone, now, Chiba acted decisively, having Yukido take advantage of Yukido's extreme mental exhaustion to extract the information. While a perfect Jinchuriki is immune to illusions, Yukido's current state is far from perfect. Gazing down at Yukido's fair, charming face, Chiba felt a surge of anxiety. For some reason, Chiba touched Yukido's small hand. Kurone followed with a slap, making Chiba's head buzz. Ouch! Chiba clutched his head, barely able to keep his balance. Ugh, they almost kissed. Chiba felt like crying, but he couldn't even think of a way out. Just then, Kurone grabbed him by the back of his collar and dragged him off the bed like an eagle catching its chicks. Then, with a sour face, Kurone rushed straight to the information source without a word. Another roar of anger followed, and Chiba gathered his thoughts. While the memory was beautiful, now was not the time to dwell on it. Chiba sniffed, and the scent of Yukido lingered on his nose. As for how the tailed beast went berserk, if it couldn't be broken by unsealing it, wouldn't it also break the seal? In the darkness, the blue cat demon was particularly dazzling. Because most of the forces were diverted to fighting the two tails, Chiba and Kurone had no trouble finding the information. They swaggered into the forbidden area of Kumogakure village. Passing the intelligence room, Kainai paused. Since they were already here, they might as well take a look. They immediately took action. Standing in the intelligence room, Kainai looked around, his eyes aglow, like a wolf smelling blood. The purple gold gourd, theoretically, it could contain everything, right? A thought struck Kainai, and a bold idea struck him. Pretending to be casual, he picked up a bundle of scrolls. In a corner, unnoticed, Kainai issued a command, and the scrolls vanished. The next second, they reappeared in Kainai's purple gold gourd. The time flow in the system world differed from that in the outside world. Kai and I waited a moment, but the scrolls remained motionless, uncorrupted by the purple gold gourd. Wow! Kai and I was overjoyed. Without hesitation, he emerged from the system and plundered the Kumogakure intelligence room. This move would not only increase his own strength, but also cause Kumogakure to suffer heavy losses. A lucrative opportunity. Chiba's eyes were red with rage, and he wanted to empty the entire intelligence room. Chiba, where are you? Only when Yuhikure's anxious voice was heard did Chiba finally stop, still feeling a little unsatisfied. That night, Chiba and the others took advantage of the chaos to escape from the hidden cloud village, and they had a great harvest. The sound of hurried footsteps continued to be heard in the forest. Although they had successfully completed the mission, Yuhikure's brows were still furrowed. Because the information that the third Hokage asked her to find was not in the intelligence room. If Chiba had not been alert, what would have been waiting for them in the intelligence room? Kurena didn't dare to think about it. Could it be that the higher-ups really had their eyes on Chiba? Yuhikure frowned and slowly stopped. Chiba, bang, she called out to Chiba, and when she was about to warn him, she was answered by a shuriken. A shuriken flew out of Chiba's hand. Chiba, are you crazy? Kurena was shocked. She formed hand seals repeatedly, intending to cast a genjutsu on Chiba, but the final one remained unsettled. Chiba's attack approached again, but Kurena, unwilling to harm Chiba, fought and retreated, ultimately falling into a disadvantage. Chiba, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Are you under a genjutsu? Kurena paused at the words. Was it possible that she was under the genjutsu herself? Because it was Chiba who attacked her, had she not considered this? A solemn expression crossed her face. As Konoha's master of genjutsu, if she had realized this, wouldn't breaking the illusion be easy? Remove, with a roar, Kurena broke free from the illusion, next to Chiba, who had also been freed. Are you okay? They both blurted out in unison, but before they could breathe a sigh of relief, a sound of breaking air reached them. Rescue, his body's instinctive reaction was faster than his thoughts. A blue chakra barrier blocked countless kunai and shurikens from Chiba and Yuhikure. Along with the weapons, the insect corpses fell to the ground. Chapter 41 Darkness. Finally, you can't help yourself, Chiba said disdainfully as he activated Kaiten within the barrier. He'd been wary of Yamanaka Shimura and of Urame Nana all this time, suspecting them of being assassins sent by Konoha's higher-ups. He had to wait until he had intelligence before taking action. Sandame, you're truly greedy. Furthermore, these two dared to drag Kurena into the illusion with them. They probably didn't intend for her to return alive, did they? Sandame, you can touch me, but dare you set your sights on Kurena? Chiba smiled coldly, a glint of blood in his eyes. Beyond Kaiten, layer upon layer of insect corpses lay densely packed, disgusting and bloody. Since the Sandame wanted him dead, Yamanaka Shimura and of Urame Nano would be no pushovers. Simply defending wasn't the answer. Who knew how many insects the Aburame clan possessed? Realizing this, Chiba summoned the purple gold gourd. Collect, instantly, every insect was sucked into the purple gold gourd, sucking in as many as possible. What? Aburame was horrified, her face livid. He'd been feeding those bugs with his chakra, it would take him forever to replenish the losses from this battle. Don't be distracted. Now, puff, with a flash of lightning, an indigo spear pierced Yamanaka Shimura's chest. A mouthful of blood gushed out, and Yamanaka Shimura's eyes gradually blurred before he died in shock. Why? Why could Chiba simultaneously use lightning release while activating Kaiten? Sadly, he would never know. Shimura, Aburame screamed, unable to believe what he was seeing. His comrade, just like that. He hadn't even seen Chiba's attack. Do you still have time to care about a dead man? Chiba's voice suddenly echoed in his ears, like a demon from hell. Aburame quickly mobilized her chakra, not caring about the losses, and released all the bugs at once. Thunder armor, a layer of lightning armor enveloped Chiba, preventing the bugs from even approaching him. The purple gold gourd devoured all the insects that scurried toward Kurena, leaving Aburame powerless to fight back. Purple lightning flashed in Chiba's palm, like a raging beast. Chiba, stop, boom, thunder roared, instantly shattering Aburame into smithereens, leaving nothing behind. The smell of scorched earth filled the air. Chiba sighed, looking back at the stunned Kurena with an innocent expression. Teacher Kurena, did you just want me not to kill them? Kurenai stared back at Chiba with a complex expression that spoke volumes. Killing ninjas from her own village, it was too much of a challenge for her. But Teacher Kurenai, do you know who they are? Chiba muttered to himself, reaching out to remove Yamanaka Shimura's chin. As expected, he saw the dark seal. Chiba tossed Yamanaka Shimura's body to Kurenai, and she saw it now. These people belong to an organization called Root, founded by Shimura Danzo with the tacit approval of the third Hokage. They're more powerful than the Anbu, but also more filthy. The Root's sole purpose is to help Danzo eliminate all who would hinder the village. Kurenai's pupils suddenly shrank. So, Danzo and the others see Chiba as a threat to the village? Simply because he killed the ninjas of Kumogakure to protect Hinata? Simply because Chiba didn't want his sacrifice to be in vain and insisted on making a bet with the third Hokage and the Raikage? The meaning of a village is protection, not sacrifice. Chiba's voice boomed in Kurenai's ears. There was a long silence. Rain suddenly fell, washing away all sin. Through the rain, Kurenai gazed at Chiba's slightly childish face, her eyes flickering. How do you know all this? Kurenai asked, her voice trembling. Chiba stiffened. Oh no. Did I accidentally say too much? In a flash, Chiba had an idea, a brilliant reason. He looked at Kurenai, his eyes fragile and helpless. Do you think this is my first assassination attempt? The next second, a gentle breeze blew, and Chiba fell into a warm embrace. Kurenai hugged him tightly, her eyes slightly red. Chiba. I'm sorry. I didn't know you'd been through so much. Don't worry, Chiba, I'll be here for you from now on. Kurenai's complete trust in Chiba was accompanied by a surge of disgust for the hypocritical Konoha leaders. Chiba embraced Kurenai with his backhand and breathed a sigh of relief. What a close call. Konoha, Hokage's office. Without a word, Danzo flung open the office door, slamming his cane to the ground. No news from the Raikage yet, Danzo demanded, his tone as if he were Konoha's true Kage. The Sandame's face was shrouded in a haze of smoke. He tossed a scroll to Danzo. The two tails attacked Kumogakure. I'm afraid the Raikage won't have a chance to respond to us. The two tails, Danzo frowned. Is it the same attack as the nine tails? That same person again? The atmosphere in the office suddenly grew more intense. After the Nine Tails rebellion, Konoha diligently investigated the conspiracy behind it, but found nothing. The only clue was a brief glimpse of the blood-red Megatama in the Nine Tails' eyes. This became one of the flashpoints for tension between the village leaders and the Uchiha clan. The village suspected the Uchiha, and the Uchiha also suspected it was a false clue from the village. Could it be someone else? But it didn't matter. No matter what, the Uchiha couldn't be spared. The same could be said of Chiba. Danzo's face was shrouded in gloom. If the Raikage can't kill that brat, at least we have the Roots as a backup. Third Hoku, you're just too weak. One Uchiha is enough of a headache for the village. What if Chiba grows up? Haha, what can you do? So, bang, the door to the Hokage's office was kicked open, abruptly interrupting Danzo's words. How dare you? Danzo turned angrily as Chiba swaggered in. He passed Danzo and tossed a scroll onto the Hokage's desk. Third Hoku, here's the information you requested. Chiba smiled. Guess what else I found in the intelligence room? As he finished speaking, Chiba pretentiously pulled out a scroll. A mental command suddenly appeared, and a pile of scrolls of Kumogakure intelligence instantly appeared on the third Hoku's desk. Consider these my gifts to you. Prepare for this gift, Lord Third Hoku, Chiba said, and swaggered off once more. Who wouldn't kill someone with a Boro knife? Third generation, how will you explain this to the enraged Raikage? I'm looking forward to it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Fanatic Fans. How is it going? Kurenai was waiting outside the office. Seeing Chiba emerge, she quickly ran over, asking with concern. You really should go in and see the Sanday's face, that look of having eaten shit. Chiba laughed, arrogant and mocking. He'd come up with this plan long before he'd robbed Kumogakure's intelligence room, intending to trick the Sanday. Konoha and Kumogakure had colluded, and not only had he escaped capture, he'd emptied their intelligence room. Who do you think the fourth Raikage would blame for this? Wasn't he trying to kill with a borrowed knife? He wanted to see who the fourth Raikage's mighty sword would slay. Even so, Chiba had handed the Sandai only a few useless scrolls. He wouldn't be so foolish as to hand over any useful intelligence, ninjutsu, or secret manuals. This time, Hyuga Chiba had it all. Should he treat himself? With a roll of his eyes, Chiba glanced at Kurenai. "Kurenai, how about we go to the hot springs together tomorrow?" Kurenai was startled and looked away. She had been looking towards the Hokage's office. Although she had seen through the ruthlessness and hypocrisy of Konoha's high command, as someone raised with a will of fire, Kurenai still needed some time to come to terms with it. Hearing Chiba's sincere invitation, Kurenai curled her lips and shook her head, declining. "Forget it, I'm a little tired, I need to go back and think about it." Chiba shrugged, his reaction not surprising. "All right then, remember to come see me when you figure it out, and you can come see me if you don't. I'll be waiting for you at the bathhouse." Chiba smiled playfully, not forgetting to give him a pinch at his old spot before leaving. But this time, Kurenai had no time to pay him any attention. Inside the office, staring at the mountain of scrolls, the Sandaime and Danzo exchanged a sullen look. "That brat, he's not dead." Danzo gritted his teeth, ready to confront Chiba. "Wait," the Sandaime quickly stopped him. "If Chiba dies, the fourth Raikage will just think we're silencing him. How are you going to explain this to the fourth Raikage?" Staring at the scroll on his desk, the third appeared calm, yet a turbulent storm surged within him. He should have expected this. With Chiba's strength, how could those people possibly kill him without the fourth Raikage's intervention? Shaking the ash from his pipe, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a surge of headache. Danzo paused for a few seconds, then turned back, gazing blankly at the third. "That's a question for you, the cage, to consider, not mine." With that, Danzo left, giving the third a moment's notice. A heavy sigh echoed from the office. Konoha bathhouse. Amidst this whirling mist, Chiba lay comfortably, a woman at his side tending to him. Theoretically, bathhouses should be segregated by gender, but some patrons have peculiar preferences, so mixed bathing rooms are provided. In the mixed bathing room, Samui resentfully performed her maid's duties, kneading shoulders, pounding legs, rubbing backs, and scrubbing bodies, eager to rub off Chiba's skin. But, damn it, why couldn't she bring herself to do it? Samui gritted her teeth, her hand finally reaching for Chiba's waist. "Pa, what are you doing? Are you trying to take advantage of me?" Chiba grabbed Samui's hand and began to caress without hesitation. Since Kurenai wasn't here, he didn't have to worry. "Who took advantage of you? You just saw my waist is sore and wanted to massage it, right?" Chiba interrupted Samui, pulling Samui's hand towards his waist. He pressed Samui's acupuncture points, leaving her unable to move, and she could only let him do what he wanted. However, to Samui's surprise, Chiba's figure was surprisingly good. Was that her abs? It felt pretty good. Wait. Now wasn't the time to dwell on that. Samui's pretty face flushed red, and she struggled to pull her hand away, but it was all in vain. And so, guided by Chiba, Samui groped almost every part of his body. Chiba wasn't idle either. Taking advantage of Samui's distraction, he leaned against Samui, enjoying the softness behind him, nearly losing control. Did he still have a rejuvenating pill? Or, "Hey, little brat, why are you hiding out here enjoying yourself?" Suddenly, a familiar older man's voice rang out. Chiba's brow furrowed, and they all left the hot spring. "Stay here and don't move," Chiba ordered Samui, heading off alone to find Jiraiya. He didn't want Jiraiya to see his maid, no, servant girl. It would be bad for the reputation of the Hidden Cloud Village if word got out. Yes, that's right. Chiba reached the stall door and bumped into Jiraiya, intently peering in. He stepped sideways, blocking the view from the room. Jiraiya tutted in dissatisfaction. "You're eating all the food yourself, kid. That's someone from the Hidden Cloud Village, and I've been ordered to keep an eye on her." Chiba made up an excuse and dragged Jiraiya inside. "Why are you here, Jiraiya-sama? Can't get enough of watching from the rooftop. You have to experience it for yourself, of course." "Oh no, that's certainly not the reason." Jiraiya's face flushed, and he remembered the important matter. "Young Master XXX has been published, and it's an instant hit. Your monograph is everywhere now. Aren't you happy, uncle? That kind of thing can't be seen everywhere, right?" "Ahem, that's not important." Jiraiya scratched his head, a hint of embarrassment crossing his face. "Anyway, you made a killing, and as agreed, I'm sending you the money." "Where's the money?" "Hey, Jiraiya pulled out a heavy purse and tossed it to Chiba. Chiba almost dropped it. Wow! So much? Chiba's eyes lit up, his eyes glistening at the sight of the money. So, making money feels so good. Double the joy. Chiba had a flash of inspiration, and clever ideas popped out like crazy. Pulling out a secret book from the purple gold gourd, Chiba handed it to Jiraiya mysteriously. Uncle, how much do you think this can be sold for on the black market? Jiraiya took it and looked at it, his eyes widened instantly. The secret book of the hidden cloud village, SHH, Chiba quickly covered Jiraiya's mouth. At this moment. Hello, may I ask? A completely unfamiliar voice appeared, startling the two of them. Turning back, Chiba and Jiraiya revealed the stern eyes unique to ninjas. This time, it was the stranger's turn to be startled. I just heard the name of young master and wanted to ask. The stranger's eyes wavered between Jiraiya and Chiba. Are you the author of Young Master? I love that book very much. Chapter 43 Sister Mikado. Jiraiya and Chiba were both stunned. Chiba rubbed his eyes and took a closer look at the man before him. Short hair, glasses, dark circles under his eyes, white shirt, he looked like a literature enthusiast. Chiba was excited. As an online writer, he rarely had the chance to meet his fans in his previous life. Do you really like my book? Yeah, the man with glasses nodded frantically, his eyes flashing with enthusiasm. I especially love Sister Bai in my book. She's the queen of my dreams. I also love the scene at the bathhouse. Oh my god, I've never seen such a passionate description, and, okay, stop. I'm going to be embarrassed if you keep praising me. Even as he spoke, Chiba's face showed a proud and enjoyable expression. The man with glasses was stunned. He glanced suspiciously at Jiraiya, then at Chiba. Are you the author? He looked Chiba up and down, unable to believe that the masterpiece he was reading was written by a minor. How could a minor know so much? Kids these days are really too precocious. He'd thought it was the creepy old man next to him. But, as long as the novel is well written, age doesn't matter. The man with glasses swallowed, watching Chiba nod in anticipation. Admitted. The man with glasses was a bit at a loss as to what to do. Can I have an autograph? After thinking it over, the man with glasses asked cautiously, his eyes occasionally glancing at Chiba. Autograph. His autograph. Chiba could barely hide the wild grin that spread across his face. Okay, Chiba readily agreed. Asking the front desk for a pen, Chiba waved his hand and casually signed his name on the man's shirt. The man held the shirt in his hands, excitedly, his lips moving for a long time, unable to utter a word. Chiba-sama, you must keep writing, I love your book. Outside the bathhouse, in the sunshine, the man with glasses waved vigorously at Chiba. Chiba was stunned, and a warm feeling flowed through his heart. Okay, Chiba tilted his head slightly, a brilliant smile on his face, in the bathhouse. Chiba chased Jiraiya away and returned to continue enjoying Samu's care. What were you doing just now? Samu asked, her tone still sharp. Are you concerned about me? Chiba raised an eyebrow, looking at Samu with amusement. Forget it, Samu, irritated, flung the towel away. Don't be impatient, Chiba held her back. Actually, I'm a writer, Chiba smirked. Then, leaning close to Samu's ear, he vividly recounted the contents of his novel. White smoke curled, and Samu's face suddenly flushed. This guy? A pervert. Alright, stop talking. Samu reached out and covered Chiba's mouth. A refreshing fragrance filled his nostrils, and Chiba closed his eyes in enjoyment. Gently opening his mouth, Chiba took a small bite of Samu's palm. Samu was furious. She quickly withdrew her hand and slapped Chiba in the face. Chiba grabbed her hand, his expression unusually serious. Don't move, Chiba said in a deep voice, his serious expression successfully intimidating Samu. As expected, Samu didn't move. Byakugan, inducing chakra, Chiba opened his Byakugan and took in the riotous scene in the adjacent bathhouse. However, this wasn't what he was looking for. Just as he closed his eyes, he heard a familiar voice. Found it, Uchiha Mikado. In the women's bathhouse, Mikado was among the other Uchiha women, looking somewhat downhearted. As the other women chatted, the topic suddenly turned to Mikado. Mikado really married well. Her husband is our clan leader, and her two sons are incredibly talented. I'm so envious. That's right, Lord Fugaku is young and capable, and he handles village and clan affairs so well. If my son could be even half as good as Lord Fugaku, I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. Mikado isn't bad either. Look at Itachi and Sasuke, they were both taught well by Mikado. The women chattered back and forth, most of the praise focused on Fugaku and Itachi. Did she marry well? Mikado lowered her eyes, hiding a hint of dejection. Her hands subconsciously covered the scars on her body. Despite the praise, Mikado couldn't seem to find it. Forced to smile, she stood up and left the bathhouse, preparing to go home and cook dinner. Fugaku was about to return, and if she wasn't home, it would be another disaster. Mikado sighed, her eyes dimming. Mikado's sister, suddenly, a voice sounded familiar from behind her. Mikado turned and saw Chiba, Itachi's friend. With her signature gentle smile, Mikado greeted Chiba in a soft voice. Hello, Chiba-kun. Chiba-kun was accompanied by a beautiful girl. Mikado's eyes lingered on Samui for a moment, then she looked away. Samui, however, didn't look away, her gaze still glued to Mikado. Great, another beautiful woman. Samui hummed, looking at Chiba with an indignant look. Mikado-san, thank you for your hospitality last time, Chiba said solemnly. To thank you, I'll treat you to some Japanese food. Without waiting for Mikado's consent, Chiba grabbed her hand without hesitation and led her to the Japanese restaurant. The moment their hands touched, they both trembled. So slippery. Chiba's heart was filled with excitement. However, Mikado's hands were still calloused from years of housework. Chiba remembered the scene he had witnessed with his Byakugan. Purple wounds and blood-red marks were intertwined, both new and old. Is this how Fugaku treats Mikado? Furious, Chiba almost went to Fugaku for a fight. However, the moment she saw Mikado in the corridor, all her anger turned into heartache. The word sister blurted out by Chiba made her decide to make it up to Mikado. Let's start by having a meal together. Inside the Japanese restaurant, Mikado was dazed looking at the table full of delicious food. How did she get here? Sister, try this sashimi, it's very fresh. Chiba sat almost right next to Mikado and attentively placed a portion of sashimi on Mikado's plate. Thank you, Chiba-kun. Mikado smiled slightly, as if she was bathed in a spring breeze. She didn't care about Chiba's overly intimate distance and actions. In her eyes, Chiba was just a child, about the same age as her two sons. Mikado's red lips parted slightly, and the sashimi entered her mouth. Every move she made exuded elegance. After all, she was a lady from the Uchiha clan, so she had to follow all the proper etiquette. Chiba stared at her. Suddenly, hiss. Chapter 44. A genius once in a century. Chiba felt a pain in his waist, and he clenched his teeth to prevent a subsequent scream. What are you doing? Chiba gritted his teeth, grabbing Samui's hand. I'm rubbing your waist, Samui snorted, unsure why she'd attacked Chiba. Glancing casually at Mikado, who was nibbling at her sashimi, Samui suddenly realized. Feeding her, that was disgusting. It was truly a stain on her eyes. Yes, that was it. Having figured it out, Samui withdrew her hand. Perhaps because Chiba was still young, or perhaps because her own life had been truly difficult, Mikado drank glass after glass, quickly emptying her bottle of sake. Mikado rarely drank, and her face gradually turned red. Chiba-kun, Mikado called softly, letting out a light burp. Itachi-chan has almost no friends, and I'm glad you get along, but Itachi-chan has been acting a little strange these past few days, looking so bad. I'm worried something might have happened to him. You know, Shizu-kun is dead, and Itachi treated him like a brother, Mikado said, tears creeping into her voice. I hope Chiba-kun will pay more attention to Itachi-chan and give him more guidance. As a mother, I just want him to grow up safely. That child has so much hidden in his heart. Mikado couldn't help but take Chiba's hand, as if entrusting Itachi to Chiba. The feeling was so strange. Was she handing Itachi over to her like a daughter? Chiba shuddered, afraid to think that. Still, having Mikado take her hand was worth it. Chiba certainly didn't miss this opportunity. He patted the back of Mikado's hand again and again, his mind preoccupied. He nodded in agreement. Sure. I'll take good care of Itachi. Chiba's gentleness stood in stark contrast to the one at home. Whenever she spoke to Fugaku about Itachi, he'd always say that Itachi was so talented they didn't need to worry about him. He'd always add hurtful remarks like a loving mother often spoils her child and Sasuke is the one who made him so weak, easily erasing all her contributions to the family. Mikado felt increasingly aggrieved, sobbing softly. Are you okay, Mikado? Chiba's heart ached. If not now, when? Chiba opened his arms to embrace Mikado, but Mikado dodged. It's okay, Chiba-kun, Mikado gave a weak smile. I'm just a little tired lately, Mikado sniffled, and after a brief moment of crying, she finally let out some of her emotions, and her pain seemed to ease. If you're having any troubles, you can tell me. Chiba looked at Mikado earnestly, his eyes shrouded in deep anticipation. Mikado was stunned. It had been ages since she'd gotten married, since anyone had said something like that. Everyone was praising her, saying, "Look how wonderful your husband is, how outstanding your son is. What kind of problems could you possibly have?" No one would believe her if she told them about her problems. Would Chiba? Mikado pondered. Her lips moved, and she lowered her eyes, slowly shaking her head. Thank you, Chiba-kun, for your hospitality. I'm very happy today. The sun was setting as they left the restaurant. The Hyuga and Uchiha clans were in opposite directions. After waving goodbye to Chiba, Mikado slowly walked back home, her sense of loss slightly fading. It must be said, the power of food is truly profound. I'm back. With a casual greeting, Mikado pushed open the door, only to be greeted by a sullen Fugaku. Where have you been? Fugaku's interrogating words and suspicious gaze were like a slap in the face to Mikado. Look what time it is, don't the child and I need to eat? Sasuke is still growing up, and his weak constitution is your fault, Fugaku cursed, the disgust in his eyes piercing Mikado's heart. I'm sorry, that's enough, Fugaku interrupted Mikado harshly. Hurry up and get cooking. Fugaku reached for Mikado, and Mikado, thinking he was going to hide her again, instinctively dodged. This very dodging ignited Fugaku's fury. Why are you hiding? I'm your husband, how can I not touch you? From the doorway, the sounds of fists and kicks rang out, mixed with a man's angry curses and a woman's suppressed cries. Upstairs, Itachi frowned deeply and covered Sasuke's ears. What's wrong, brother? Nothing, Itachi replied gently. He didn't even realize how terrifying his expression was, how the veins in his neck were bulging. The next morning, Chiba was snoring, with the corners of his mouth raised, immersed in a sweet dream. Suddenly, hey, kid, a sleepyhead can never become a great rider. Jiraiya broke into Chiba's room with a grin, laughing wantonly. Frowning, Chiba woke up very reluctantly. Uncle, why are you here? Chiba yawned loudly, feeling very helpless. Is the defense of the Hyuga clan useless? Is his room a feng shui treasure? Why does everyone come to him? Last time it was Yuhi Kirnei, this time it's Jiraiya. Help. He just wants to sleep until he wakes up naturally. Chiba looked at Jiraiya bitterly, his eyes seemed to say, if you don't give me a reasonable reason, believe it or not, I will die in front of you. Jiraiya chuckled. Kid, I forgot to tell you last time, your book is selling incredibly well, and the publisher decided to strike while the iron is hot and hold a press conference. Prepare well and don't embarrass me. Press conference? Chiba's eyes widened in surprise, all sleepiness gone. A press conference for me, Chiba muttered, wondering if he was still dreaming. Yet, Jiraiya nodded, gazing at Chiba with admiration. This kid, a great writer, capable of both literary prowess and martial prowess, capable of subduing the fourth Raikage, truly a once-in-a-century genius. Could it be, he's the chosen one? Jiraiya's smile froze for a moment, his expression expressionless. If Chiba really was the man rumored, he'd have to have a serious talk with a third. Kakashi had told him so much? Then how should I prepare? Chiba asked innocently. He'd never prepared for a press conference in his previous life. So excited. So thrilled. So nervous. Oh no, Chiba. Just then, hurried footsteps were heard outside Chiba's door. The next second, Hinata appeared in Chiba's room, sweat on her forehead. Chiba, the Aburame and Yamanaka clans are here to cause trouble for you. What? Chapter 45 Account. Chiba took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat off Hinata's forehead. His calm demeanor was in stark contrast to Hinata's anxiety. Brother Chiba, Uncle Yamanaka Rinaya and Uncle Aburame Kaiming are here to see you. Father asked me to take you out to hide. Hinata held Chiba's hand, her big eyes full of concern. Yamanaka Rinaya and Aburame Kaiming? Never heard of them. Why are they looking for trouble with him? The only people he had dealt with from these two families were Yamanaka Shimura and Aburame Ki. Chiba raised one eyebrow slightly, thinking of something. As for hiding in the dark like Danzo and ordering others to deal with trouble, that's not his style. Chiba picked up Hinata and walked out of the room step by step under Hinata's anxious gaze. They've moved the stage to the Hyuga family. It would be unreasonable for him not to join in the performance, right? A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and Chiba was not panicked at all. Yamanaka, Aburame, could they be more powerful than the fourth Raikage? Chiba walked out of the courtyard with a confident stride. A group of people gathered in twos and threes at the Hyuga clan's main gate, led by two men who looked like Yamanaka Renai and Aburame Kaiming. Hyuga Hayashi was painstakingly explaining something to them. Seeing Chiba leisurely approach, they ignored Hayashi and went straight for him. Chiba, my son died on a mission with you. You must give us an explanation. That's right, my son went on so many missions, why did he die just by teaming up with you? Explain clearly. Don't think we Humanikas are easy to bully. The grown men barked like shrews, their words lashing out, giving Chiba a headache. However, he understood, these people were indeed here for Aburame Ki and Yamanaka Shimura. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Chiba slowly extended his pinky finger and tickled his ear. His tone was full of provocation. Shut up, Chiba said, looking up impatiently. This uncle just said that this isn't his son's first mission. Then I'd like to ask, why would a ninja with so much experience team up with a Jinan like me? Chiba seized on the opportunity and asked with interest. Yamanaka Ranai's face suddenly froze. Or did they take on another mission? Chiba continued, relentless. You're slandering me, Yamanaka Ranai cursed. Ugh, being hit in the sore spot, the cornered dog is jumping off the wall. Chiba rolled his eyes. You two uncles have been ninjas for many years too. When a ninja goes on a mission, there's flashes of swords and blood, life and death are in the hands of God. Why are you blaming me? Because there was a lightning strike where my son died. Chiba, who in Konoha doesn't know that you used lightning release? Oh, Chiba smiled. Were these two really stupid or were they just pretending to be? How did they manage to betray the mastermind behind everything they said? How did you know where Shimura and Ki died? As soon as these words were spoken, the scene suddenly became quiet. Hinata Hayashi frowned. He also noticed something was wrong. Ren Yi, Ki Ming, Chiba is right, it is very common for ninjas to die on the battlefield. I can understand your heartache, but, Ren Yi, don't waste your words with them. The people of the Hyuga clan will not take us seriously. Aburame Ki Ming interrupted Hayashi, his eyes hidden under sunglasses staring at Chiba. He wanted justice for his son. The people of the Aburame clan can die on the battlefield, but they must not die at the hands of their own people. Secret technique, insect explosion. Suddenly, black insects covered the sky, blue light flashed, and the lightning armor covered Chiba's body again. The purple gold gourd opened, and Aburame Ki Ming's insects and his son's insects returned to the same place. This is the Hyuga clan's territory. It's not your place to act so presumptuously. Chiba leaped up with a thunderous roar. In the blink of an eye, he appeared before Aburame Kaiming and Yamanaka Ranai. He thrust out his hands and grasped their hair. Then, he slammed them to the ground. Bang! The heavy object crashed to the ground, sending dust flying. It all happened so quickly that the Yamanaka and Aburame families barely had time to react. By the time they recovered, Yamanaka Ranai and Aburame Kaiming were face down on the ground, their lives uncertain. This is my order. With a single step beside Aburame Kaiming's head, Chiba blasted a hole through the ground. A mere centimeter shy of the hole, it would have been right on Aburame Kaiming's head. A threat. A naked threat. The faces of the Yamanaka and Aburame families sank, but faced with such sheer power, they were powerless. One move. Chiba had only used one. Take these two back and don't let them pollute the Hyuga clan's territory, Chiba said, and walked away without looking back. Halfway through, he paused again. Looking out at the house at the foot of Hokage Rock, Chiba was truly fed up with the endless harassment. If a tiger doesn't show its might, do you really think it's a sick cat? Chiba gritted his teeth, his eyes fierce. With a thought, a bolt of purple lightning struck directly at Hokage Rock, leaving a hideous mark on the third Hokage's face. And next time, the lightning won't strike a stray. Chiba sneered and strode away. Well, it's still early, you can take a nap. The sun set. In the Hyuga clan's training room, Hyuga Hayashi and Hyuga Hayashi sat opposite each other for who knows how long. Master, isn't it too early to hand over the position to Chiba now? Hyuga Hayashi made tea for Hayashi, and then, recalling his brother's words, asked with some concern. You saw it today. Chiba is quite high profile in his actions. The village leaders and other families have noticed him. If Chiba officially becomes the head of the Hyuga clan, the pressure on him will be much less. Others will have to think twice before touching him. Chiba won't have to hurt people like he did today. Recalling everything that happened in the morning, Hayashi rubbed his forehead, feeling a bit of a headache. Although Chiba attacked the Aburame and the minions in the mountains, it would not look good if such a blatant attack got out. Even if there were others fanning the flames behind the scenes. How could Hayashi, who could become the head of the Hyuga clan, not understand the reason behind today's scene? Not to mention that Chiba had almost completely tricked the other party into saying anything. Hyuga Hisashi was silent for a moment. But, the head of the Hyuga clan cannot be judged by strength alone, Hyuga Hisashi said slowly. Chiba-kun has to learn how to mediate with the village, maintain relations with branch families, and maintain checks and balances with other families. If Chiba-kun were to use the same tactics today against all families, I'm afraid the Hinata family would have to move out of the village. A bitter smile played on Hinata Hayashi's face. Hayashi's expression was equally grim. What Hayashi said was exactly what he was hesitant about. Turning his head to look at the setting sun on the horizon, Hinata Hayashi frowned slightly and remained silent for a long time. How can I protect Chiba-kun? Chapter 46 The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That day, the lights in Hyuga Hayashi's training room were always on. No one knew what the two brothers, Hayashi and Hayashi, were talking about. Deep in the mountains and ancient forests. Divine Judgment, 30 million volts, Thunder Beast, 30 million volts, Thunderbird, 60 million volts, Thunder Dragon, 200 million. Never mind, let's call it a day. Chiba plopped down on the ground, his clothes soaked with sweat. He opened his kettle and gulped down the water, which was soon empty. Looking around, he saw scorched earth everywhere, all blasted out by his lightning strikes. Ever since his last match with the fourth Raikage, Chiba had become more aware of the importance of strength in this world. If he hadn't just obtained the golden cudgel the night before, he might not have been able to defeat the fourth Raikage, let alone hospitalize him. A cage-level powerhouse, so terrifying. Moreover, he was already being targeted by Konoha's top brass. If the third Hokage were ever forced to take action himself, he had to win. And this was why Chiba couldn't get out of bed every morning. If you train until dark every day, you won't be able to get up. Chiba sat down, shook the sweat from his hair, and a relieved smile appeared on his face. At least, his hard work these days has paid off. He has mastered the Thunder Beast, Thunderbird, and Thunder Dragon. Anel still needs a medium to trigger these skills, but after mastering the transformation of chakra, he can use them at will. It must be said that the scrolls stolen from Kumogakure played a big role. As a master of thunder, the collection of Kumogakure is full of valuable knowledge. Chiba patted his butt with satisfaction, stood up, and stretched. Today's progress was very fast. It was just dark, and he could go back and take a hot bath and have a good sleep. Chiba's mouth grinned, just thinking about it made him happy. However, as he walked back to the Hyuga clan's gate, a gentle female voice called him. Chiba-kun. Chiba's body shook suddenly. The voice was obviously that of a beautiful woman. Looking back with joy, Chiba's mouth twitched. It turned out to be Uchiha Izumi, Itachi's rumored girlfriend. As the saying goes, a friend's wife is not to be offended. Oh, no, a friend's wife should not be bullied. You can't do anything to let your friend down. But if it was Izumi who came to you... Chiba began to fantasize. He touched his nose and smiled slightly. Izumi-chan, what do you want to talk to me about? Izumi walked forward slowly, rubbing the corners of his clothes unconsciously with his hands. Chiba-kun, you are Itachi-chan's friend, right? The corners of his mouth froze, and Chiba was speechless. Another one who came for Itachi? Itachi, this kid, is really popular. Chiba would never admit that he was a little jealous of Itachi. Yes, Itachi and I are good friends, Chiba smiled, grinding his back teeth again and again. Izumi on the opposite side hesitated for a long time, and suddenly, she made up her mind and closed her eyes. Chiba-kun, you must take good care of Itachi-chan, Izumi said, even bowing to him. Itachi-chan has been getting quieter these days. Even I don't want to talk to him anymore. I'm really scared something's going to happen to him. Chiba-kun, if you have time, please go and give Itachi-chan some advice. Izumi grew increasingly agitated. She stood up and grabbed Chiba's hand. Chiba shuddered. Say, this hand? Should I pull it out, or not? Or not, Chiba, it's so late, you're not asleep, you don't seem to have much free time. Suddenly, Yuhi voice pierced from somewhere. Chiba dodged Izumi's hand without a second thought, like avoiding the plague. Izumi, even though you're Itachi's friend, we should still keep our distance, Chiba said sternly, his eyes occasionally glancing at Yuhi as she approached. Danger, danger, danger. Yuhi approached, smiling, shoulder to shoulder with Chiba. And then, hiss. This woman. She struck again. Chiba clenched his teeth, his face pale. From an angle Izumi couldn't see, Yuhi 2 fingers gripped his soft flesh tightly. What a sin. The flesh was almost falling off. Chiba felt like crying, looking at Yuhi pitifully. Good evening, Kurenai-sensei, Chiba said cautiously. Kurenai's hand didn't loosen, and Chiba was on the verge of tears. Good evening, are you on a date? Kurenai asked softly, her smile looking eerie and terrifying to Chiba. No, Kurenai-sensei misunderstood, Izumi explained, her face flushing. This couldn't reach Itachi-chan's ears. I just have something to ask Chiba-kun. I'm sorry to bother you with my sudden visit, Izumi bowed deeply. Itachi was the pride of the Uchiha clan, and Izumi didn't want to say much in front of outsiders. Really? Kurenai raised an eyebrow, looking at Chiba with a playful look. Just as Asuma was about to burst forth, a sudden gust of wind blew from behind him, and a kunai brushed past his cheek, leaving a bloody mark. Who? Asuma shuddered, turning back sharply, only to see a blurry figure. Infusing his chakra into Fion, Asuma, on full alert, was met with a sneer of disdain. Put away your pitiful chakra, the shadowy figure said slowly. The moment the words left his mouth, a sense of overwhelming pressure washed over him, nearly bringing Asuma to his knees. He had only ever seen such a terrifying aura from his father, the third Hokage. Asuma was startled and terrified. Senior, may I ask if I have offended you? He spoke with a good-natured voice, a stark contrast to his usual self. Haha, of course not, it was him who offended me, the figure hidden in the shadows pointed a finger, pointing directly at Chiba. Asuma froze for a moment. Chiba. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Thinking of this, Asuma's face showed a sinister smile. Senior, I think I know why you're here, as long as it's about Chiba, I will tell you in detail, I think we can reach a cooperation. Chapter 47 Rebellion. By the time Asuma walked out of the corner, Chiba and Kurenai were no longer on the street. Asuma clenched his fists, his expression ferocious and terrifying. He had already told the elder everything he knew about Chiba, his ninjutsu, strength, relationships, and everything else. The elder also promised to teach Chiba a lesson, to make him realize his limitations. Chiba, I wonder how long you can keep being so arrogant. When you die, Kurenai will be mine. In the darkness, Asuma laughed wildly. That night, Chiba lay in the soft big bed, unable to fall asleep for a long time. Itachi's unusual behavior had attracted the attention of most people. It must be because of that incident. Did his last persuasion work? It shouldn't be. Chiba might not trust his own rhetoric, but he absolutely believed in his observation and judgment. Itachi was obviously much more relaxed after their conversation that day. Chiba frowned slightly, confused. But if he couldn't figure it out, forget it. Just ask Itachi tomorrow. Mikado and Izumi had already asked him for help. Wouldn't it be unreasonable not to give these two beauties a favor? He had to do his utmost to prevent the Uchiha from being annihilated, and why not make Mikado and Izumi owe him a favor? Chiba yawned, rolled over, and placed his hand on a soft object. If you want to die, just say so, Samui gritted his teeth. As a servant, Chiba wouldn't let her do things like warming the bed. But Chiba had been so obedient the past few days. Judging by Chiba's previous behavior, Samui hadn't lashed out, but she was about to. Oh, the training is exhausting. Just take a break, just a little while, Chiba pleaded, his voice fading. Samui paused and rolled her eyes. Don't rush, don't panic, don't get angry. This damn time won't last long. A step back will open up a new world. Samui consoled herself. When the time was almost up, she was about to ask Chiba to remove her paw, but turned back to see Chiba's peaceful, sleeping face. Dark circles still hung under Chiba's eyes. His face still looked so childish, yet he could defeat both himself and the Raikage-sama. Time seemed to stand still for a few seconds. Never mind, he couldn't do anything while asleep anyway. Samui took a deep breath, but ultimately didn't remove Chiba's hand. He slept until dawn, and Chiba woke up refreshed. Samui had vanished without a trace. A faint smile played on his lips, and after finishing the breakfast Samui had made, Chiba leisurely strolled to Itachi's door. "Good morning, Mikado-ne, Itachi-sen, are you there?" "I'm coming up," Chiba greeted Mikado with a smile, then climbed up to the second floor and found Itachi. "Chiba-kun," Itachi returned the greeting. He sat cross-legged meticulously, his sword and forward protector placed before him. Raising his eyebrows, Chiba sat down with a half-smile, facing Itachi. "Still hesitating? Look at your expression, you're filled with sorrow and worry. There's nothing I can do. Tonight is the deadline for the mission." Itachi smiled bitterly. The room was filled with barriers, and in front of Chiba, he spoke without reservation. "Really? Then what do you think? Listen to the village or listen to the tribe? You good students always like to do things that get you into trouble." Chiba leaned back, smiled and shook his head. "They promised me that they would give Sasuke a chance to live. And they would protect him well until he grew up." Itachi frowned, stating the fundamental reason for his hesitation. Who they were was self-evident. "But, Itachi-san, have you ever considered that they also promised the fourth Hokage the same thing when he died?" Chiba sneered. "Itachi-san, I always thought you were a smart man. The only person in this world who can protect Sasuke is himself. Without the support of the Uchiha clan, how can he open his eyes? How can he practice fire escape techniques? How can he practice taijutsu?" Let's take a step back. Even if Sasuke really isn't cut out to be a ninja, the Uchiha clan can at least ensure he doesn't starve to death, because he still has Uchiha blood in him. Can the village do that? When there's only one Uchiha left, that person is the best and final research material, Chiba narrated. After he finished speaking, the room was silent for a long time. Only the sound of Itachi's increasingly heavy breathing remained. I can protect him in secret." After a long moment, Itachi said in a hoarse, unsure voice. "Are you willing? Will the village agree? Besides, if you want to protect Sasuke in secret, why do you have to exterminate the clan? It's clearly a win-win situation." Chiba sighed. Itachi fell silent, a small knot forming between his brows as he fell into deep thought. Itachi pondered for so long that Chiba began to yawn. "So, Itachi," swish, there was a sound of metal on metal, and the blade was unsheathed, leaving a deep mark on the forward protector bearing the Konoha emblem. "Thank you, Chiba-kun, I figured it all out. The village can't be trusted, the clan members can't be relied upon. Sasuke and I have to rely on ourselves, but leaving Sasuke to the Uchiha is safer than leaving him to the village." Itachi smiled gently. "And if I defect from Konoha, the village will be wary and even less likely to attack Sasuke. But if the village is determined to fight to the death, please, Chiba, take good care of Sasuke," Itachi said, resting his hands on his knees and bowing deeply to Chiba. Chiba sighed, his eyes complicated. "Are you sure I only need to take care of Sasuke, and mother, and Uchiha-san Izumi?" As if squeezing toothpaste, Itachi finally finished his instructions. Chiba gritted his teeth, a mixture of anger and amusement. "Haha, you finally remembered your mother and your girlfriend? They even came to me, asking me to enlighten you." "What?" Itachi was stunned. "Did Miss Izumi come to see you? And mother?" His voice trailed off, and Itachi lowered his eyes, hiding a flash of tenderness and emotion. It seemed that not all the people in the clan were bad. At least there were still people who cared about him. Itachi suddenly felt fortunate to have given up that inhumane mission. "Chiba-kun, then it's a deal." "Yes, I'll take care of it," Chiba said, standing up and patting his chest. A friend's wife shouldn't be bullied, and as for Izumi, he would definitely protect her well. As for Mikado, I don't think there's such a thing as a friend's mother shouldn't be bullied, right? The night was peaceful. For many, it would have been just an ordinary night. But for Danzo, it was a night that was particularly difficult. The expected flashes of swords and blood hadn't appeared. In the dark, he waited for the news he least wanted to hear. "Your Excellency, Uchiha Itachi has disappeared. We found this in his room." The severed forward protector appeared before Danzo's eyes. Uchiha Itachi, Konoha's genius and heir to the Uchiha clan, had rebelled. Chapter 48 Impotent Rage. Why would Itachi do such a thing? Danzo erupted in anger. If Itachi were in his presence, he would tear him to pieces, absolutely. "Someone saw Hyuga Chiba go to Uchiha Itachi's house yesterday afternoon." The subordinate cautiously broke the rumor, and the temperature around them suddenly dropped several degrees. Hyuga Chiba, Danzo gritted his teeth, hating the man with a passion. However, The most urgent task was to stop the Uchiha clan's actions. Itachi's betrayal was a devastating blow to the village, and to the Uchiha clan as well. Even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered, let alone a lion? Even if this lion is already useless. With a cold snort, Danzo pondered over it, but still couldn't swallow his anger. Sasuke is still in the village, right, Itachi? Since you dare to leave, be prepared to make Sasuke pay the price. Danzo even began to mentally consider assassination candidates. But, as for Hyuga Chiba, the subordinate stammered out his concerns. Judging from the information currently available, Hyuga Chiba and Itachi had a good relationship. It's easy to guess what Itachi did when he summoned Chiba to his home before leaving. Danzo choked. Hyuga Chiba, first he defeated the fourth Raikage, then he killed the members of the Root. Damn it. Was this kid sent by heaven to torture him? Hyuga Chiba, one day, I will kill you with my own hands, Danzo growled, his eyes bloodshot. If Chiba were here, he would have sneered disdainfully and then pronounced upon Danzo 4 words, impotent and furious. Compared to Danzo, Chiba's life was much more comfortable. Coming home to a meal cooked by Samui, could anything be happier? And, at his insistence, Samui had changed into a black and white maid outfit. A maid in a maid's outfit brought him the food. Chiba devoured his food, occasionally tugging on Samui's hand. Wasn't this the life he'd always dreamed of? If Hong treats him like this in the future. Kainai's eyes widened, and his hands stopped moving. Bang! The next second, Samui's fist landed on Kainai's head. Ouch, what are you doing? Kainai covered his head, aggrieved. Stop drooling, it's almost dripping onto the table, Samui said angrily. Kainai was just about to have the word pervert written all over his face. Kainai smiled awkwardly at being hit in the heart, but as Samui's master, how could he be intimidated by Samui? After 2 light coughs, Kainai became serious. Everything will be fine after the meal is cooked, right? Go run the bathwater. Today, you have to scrub my back. Kainai was bossing around, making Samui's nose crooked. Slamming his chopsticks on the table, Samui left without looking back. Kainai finished his meal calmly, then followed him. And then, let go. Ha 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 ha. Let me go. Ha 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 ha. I can't take it anymore. Okay, I'll rub it for you. Rub it for you. After this round of torture, Samui emerged from the room, her face flushed. She hesitated, but finally went to help Chiba with the water. The bathroom was filled with smoke. Chiba enjoyed Samui's ministrations comfortably, but he felt something was missing. Samui must be wearing too much? Chiba snapped his fingers. Do you have a swimsuit? One-piece ones, Samui paused. No, she said decisively. Then don't wear anything at all, Chiba threatened softly. The bathroom was silent for a moment, then the sound of the door opening was heard. When Samui re-entered, she had changed into her swimsuit. Her face flushed. Chiba looked back excitedly, but the view was not what he had imagined. He had forgotten that Samui was also a ninja from Kumogakure, and she too was injured. His brow furrowed. Come here, Chiba said forcefully. Seeing Samui standing motionless at the door, he sighed softly, rising from the bathtub and walking towards her. What do you want to do? Samui was startled, quickly covering her vital parts. Heal you, Chiba said calmly, pulling Samui down to sit without further ado. Don't you know how? Samui was stunned, a bit dazed. I don't know medical ninjutsu, but I do know some techniques. Don't forget, I'm from the Hyuga clan. I know a little bit about acupressure and massage. He'd learned the acupressure points from the Hyuga clan, and as for massage, well, what writer doesn't go to a massage parlor? Typing every day is painful, isn't it? Chiba gathered his thoughts and began to move with skillful technique. Since he could use electricity to make Yuki miserable last time, then, as long as the amount of electricity was controlled, he could use it for massage, right? Kainai did what he said. He carefully controlled the current, rubbing Samui's body slowly, matching his movements and rolling his eyes. Samui initially thought Kainai was just looking for a chance to take advantage of her, figuring she could tolerate it as long as it wasn't too excessive. However, she was surprised to find Kainai's massage truly soothing. It felt like a warm current flowed through every part of her body, sweeping away all her aches and fatigue. It was truly soothing. In her intense relaxation, Samui let out a whimper, a lingering sound. The bathroom soon filled with pink bubbles. Kainai's hand trembled violently, barely controlling the force. Don't move, don't scream, Kainai warned. his voice low and hoarse. His fingers trembled in midair, his mind filled with Samui's voice. Gulp, the sound of her Adam's apple sliding was now particularly clear. Kainai's face flushed. He could only focus his gaze on Samui's back, hoping to distract himself. Samui's snow-white skin slowly turned pink at a visible speed. They both spoke at the same time, then fell silent. Forget it. That's it. Even if it means death. With his eyes closed, Chiba no longer bothered to massage, and his hands groped Samui's body. A clear difference from before was that this time, Samui was trembling slightly, as if she was holding back something. For a moment, the only sound in the bathroom was the sound of running water. The Uchiha clan's territory. Inside the room, Uchiha Fugaku chain-smoked, surrounded by Uchiha leaders. Itachi had left, and the Uchiha clan was instantly in chaos. Shisu, Itachi, and the Uchiha geniuses flashed and vanished like meteors, leaving no one present feeling happy. Uchiha Fugaku was especially affected. His gaze was terrifyingly gloomy. The long silence wore away patience, and one of the Uchiha elders couldn't help himself. Fugaku, if you ask me, let's just forget it. Without Itachi, we can't withstand this civil strife. Bang, the coffee table shattered. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Applying Medicine. Itachi's defection had become a hot topic, and even if the Uchiha clan wanted to cover it up, the Konoha High Command wouldn't let them. Early that morning, the third Hokage announced that Itachi had been designated an S-ranked traitor to Konoha. Instantly, the once prodigy became a target of public condemnation, and life for the Uchiha clan became increasingly difficult. He endured countless scornful glances that day. The disdain from his two advisors, the questioning from the third Hokage and Danzo, each one infuriated Fugaku. Returning to the clan compound, he faced a group of cowards and incompetents. Staring at the overturned coffee table, Uchiha Fugaku's fury burned, his hands opening and closing, but he restrained himself from striking the elder who had spoken out. These people only had eyes for Itachi. Without Itachi, would the world fall? Uchiha Fugaku gritted his teeth. Remember, the head of the Uchiha clan is me, Uchiha Fugaku, not Uchiha Itachi, so what if Itachi rebelled? There are so many Uchiha clans, can't they accomplish anything without him? You're so old, and you can't even beat a child? Fugaku scolded in a low voice, but no one dared to speak. Glancing around, seeing that everyone had finally adopted the proper attitude towards the head of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku smiled with satisfaction, his eyes filled with sinister intent. I called you here today, not to discuss matters with you, I called you here to inform you, the Uchiha clan must rebel. The relationship between us and the village has long been a life-or-death struggle. Now that Itachi has left, Konoha will only hold us responsible, Fugaku said gloomily. Either die in battle or live in shame, we have no way out. The atmosphere in the room was so oppressive that even the air seemed frozen. When everyone emerged, their faces looked as if they were constipated, their faces grimacing. Going against an entire ninja village requires more than determination alone. Everyone knew this, but no one dared to speak out. Mikado stood at the door, watching the Uchiha leaders leave. However, her usual gentle, light smile was gone. How could she smile when her son ran away? An elder paused hesitantly as he passed by Mikado. Mikado, you're the only one who can try to persuade Fugaku now, for the future of the Uchiha clan, and even more so for Sasuke. The elder walked away, not daring to linger for even a second. Mikado's eyes blinked slowly as she considered. Should she really persuade Fugaku? A burning pain spread beneath her skin. That was her first reaction at the mere mention of the word Fugaku. What are you doing standing there at the door? Are you trying to get him to leave? Fugaku's impatient growl made Mikado shudder, snapping her back to reality. She hurried back home and looked up to see Sasuke, timidly hiding on the second floor. For the future of the Uchiha clan, and even more so for Sasuke, the elder's words lingered in Mikado's mind. Biting her lower lip, Mikado reached out tremblingly and tugged at Fugaku's sleeve. Fugaku, can't we just live a good life together as a family? Itachi's gone. I don't want to lose you, or Sasuke. Stop nagging. Fugaku raised his hand and threw Mikado to the ground. What do you know, woman? It's none of your business to meddle in my affairs. Mikado collapsed to the ground, wailing in pain. Despite Fugaku's vicious words, she paid no attention and continued to tug at Fugaku's trouser leg. "Fugaku, I'm just worried about you, shut up." Fugaku grabbed Mikado's neck. It was so annoying. Everyone wanted to control him. His dignity as clan leader, his dignity as a man, were they going to trample on him? He couldn't fix Itachi, and now he couldn't fix Mikado. Fugaku's eyes seemed to hold a bottomless abyss. He had fallen into a frenzy, his fists, as big as sandbags, raining down on Mikado as if he were hitting a rag instead of his wife. Mikado clasped her head in her hands, enduring her husband's baseless rage as always. Why had her life become like this? An incompetent and arrogant husband, a taciturn and rebellious son, what was left for her? Her thoughts gradually became blurry, and her vision went white. Mikado was about to be beaten unconscious by Fugaku. Before she completely lost consciousness, Mikado suddenly thought of something. "If you encounter any difficulties, you can tell me, Chiba-kun." "Chiba-kun, can you really help her?" Standing in front of the Hyuga clan's land, Mikado hesitated for the umpteenth time. As the wife of the Uchiha clan leader, she was humbly asking a Hyuga child to do something. If word got out, wouldn't Fugaku be furious again? Mikado's shoulders trembled, and a wry smile appeared on her face. But she had no choice. Looking around, it seemed Chiba was the only one who could help her. Mikado bit her lip, her hand finally resting on the Hyuga clan's door. Squeak, the door swung open from the inside. Chiba, accompanied by Samui, met Mikado's gaze. Mikado visibly flinched. Chiba's heart ached. "Mikado, do you need me for something? Come in and sit down," Chiba said, then felt a sharp pain in her waist. "Didn't you say you were going out shopping?" Samui gritted her teeth, whispering in Chiba's ear with a forced smile. "We can go shopping every day, but Mikado won't come to see me every day," Chiba said sternly. "Samui? You bastard. All men are the same." Samui snorted heavily, turned around and walked away. Mikado gave Chiba an apologetic smile, and the two returned to Chiba's room, speechless for a while. Mikado kept her eyes downcast, silent, but Chiba's eyes were busy, constantly wandering over Mikado. During this period, Sister Mikado has had many more injuries. Chiba frowned, and his displeasure towards Fugaku increased by 2 points. Mikado didn't know that she had been seen through by Chiba. Her lower lip was bitten until it turned white, but she didn't notice it. Looking up and seeing Chiba's face that was even more childish than Itachi's, Mikado suddenly felt that she was really stupid to come to Chiba. Sister Mikado, if you don't know what to say, let me say it, okay?" Mikado swallowed the rest of the words, not knowing what Chiba was up to. However, Chiba didn't say anything. He just stood up and then brought a medicine box. Under Mikado's astonished gaze, Chiba slowly applied the ointment on the side of Mikado's neck. The fingerprints there stung his eyes. "Don't worry, Sister Mikado, these are special medicines given to me by the Hyuga family. They are very effective, no matter what, your health comes first. Let me put your sister's things aside and apply the medicine to you first, okay?" Chapter 50, Playboy. Mikado froze, motionless, letting Chiba apply ointment to her. Ever since she married Fugaku, she'd gotten wounds almost every day. Some could be covered, some couldn't. No one ever cared about the ones that couldn't be covered, let alone applied ointment. At first, she'd applied the ointment herself, but eventually, with new wounds every day, she grew numb. Her wounds, her pain, her heart, all numb. But now, someone had seen her injuries, someone felt for her. Mikado's pupils trembled at the sight of Chiba's serious, youthful, yet meticulous profile. Chiba applied the ointment to Mikado's skin with undivided attention, his expression so meticulous, as if he were handling a rare treasure. He was so focused that he didn't even notice the pink tint that slowly crept across Mikado's skin. "Thank you, Chiba-kun." Mikado realized something was wrong with her. She grasped Chiba's hand and gently took the ointment, her eyelashes still lowered. "I can do it myself, no need to trouble Chiba-kun." Mikado curled her lips and smiled again. Chiba raised an eyebrow. It seemed that Mikado's mood had improved a little. In this case, Chiba returned to his seat, keeping a proper distance from Mikado. Mikado clenched the ointment in both hands, brewing her words. "Chiba-kun, how much do you know about the Uchiha clan?" Chiba smiled. As expected, he came here for the Uchiha matter. However, he still couldn't figure out Mikado's attitude. Chiba pondered for a moment. What I know about the Uchiha clan, I learned from Itachi. What do you want to say, Sister Mikado? Chiba asked back, holding the initiative in his hands. What could be more effective than bringing up Uchiha Itachi? Mikado lowered her head slightly, her crow feather eyelashes fluttering. Itachi was willing to tell Chiba about the clan's affairs. That child must trust Chiba very much, right? Thinking of this, Mikado's trust in Chiba increased a lot, and she felt more confident. Then, Chiba-kun must know that the Uchiha are very unhappy with the village right now, right? Mikado smiled wryly. My husband, Fugaku, he has some crazy ideas that will destroy both the Uchiha and the village. I tried to persuade him, but it was no use. Mikado's hand unconsciously touched her neck, covering most of the scars. A flicker of fear flashed in her eyes. Chiba frowned, his disgust for a Fugaku reaching an all-encompassing level. Uchiha Fugaku, you dare to bully Mikado like this? You deserve it if you're cut into pieces. Chiba's fists hardened. But in front of Mikado, he had to maintain a friendly appearance. Chiba smiled faintly. So, Mikado-san, you want me to persuade Uncle Fugaku? A sister and an uncle clearly distanced themselves from each other. Mikado didn't notice. Yes, she nodded, her voice trembling. Suddenly, Mikado's eyes welled up as she recalled Sasuke's helpless, terrified, and furious look as he hid on the second floor during Fugaku's assault. Tears welled up in her eyes. She'd already lost Itachi, she couldn't lose Sasuke again. Fugaku was mad, he was dragging the Uchiha, Sasuke, down with him. Her nails dug into her flesh, and Mikado cried with utter restraint. She wouldn't allow this to happen, absolutely not. Just then, a pair of warm hands grasped hers. With a slight effort, Chiba pulled Mikado into his arms. Mikado didn't resist. Mikado sister, don't worry. I'll help you through this, I told you, if you have any trouble, just come to me. Chiba's voice was steady and powerful. This young man gave Mikado more strength and support than her husband ever could. Years of grievances poured out in that moment, and Mikado clutched the hem of Chiba's clothes, weeping. I really am troubling you, Chiba-kun, I'm so sorry. Chiba's lips curled up, a playful smile playing. Uchiha Fugaku, how can I persuade you? When Mikado emerged from Chiba's room, her eyes red, like a little rabbit, she cried miserably, yet also heartbreakingly. Samui, however, showed no sign of emotion. When Chiba returned from dropping Mikado off, Samui had placed a plate of stir-fried radishes heavily on the table. Chiba was startled. You've been acting strangely these past 2 days, Chiba patted his chest, still terrified. He walked over to the table and took a look, his face instantly turning green. Are the radishes having a meeting? Stir-fried radishes, shredded radishes, stewed radishes with meat, and radish soup. Are you feeding them to rabbits? Chiba pointed at the dishes, indignant. Samui folded his arms over his chest and scoffed. Of course a playboy has to eat radishes. Chiba was stunned, blinking repeatedly. Was Samui scolding him? Very good, very good. Chiba's lips curled slightly, a malicious smile. You're calling me a playboy, aren't you? Chiba, rubbing his fists, lunged at Samui with a wicked grin. Then I'll show you what a playboy can do. With a single lunge, Chiba effortlessly grasped Samui's waist, his hands pressing against her acupuncture points, immobilizing her. What are you doing? This time it was Samui's turn to panic. Put me down, I'm just telling you the truth. You dare to do it and not admit it. Put me down. Samui clung to Chiba's shoulders, her fists raining down on Chiba, but Chiba remained unmoved. Samui wouldn't dare kill her anyway. Chiba carried Samui back to the room and threw her onto the bed. Her lithe body sank into the soft bed, and as Samui rose, Chiba had already grabbed her legs. Pulling off her socks, Chiba's claws reached out to Samui's feet without hesitation. Chiba. Ha. Let me go. Ha. Chiba, do you hear me? You dare call me a playboy? Prepare to be punished. Bah, I'm telling the truth, not scolding you. Ha. Stop it. Unpleasant laughter gradually filled the room. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, ever since Itachi's departure, the village had tightened its surveillance of the Uchiha clan, and no movement escaped the eyes of the higher-ups. Naturally, Fugaku's summoning of all the higher-ups that day hadn't been concealed. Danzo strode in, and as soon as the door opened, he started yelling. Sarutobi, what are you still hesitating about? You have to wait until Uchiha Fugaku holds a knife to your head before you face reality. Right, Danzo snatched Saratobi's pipe and slammed it to the ground. The third Hokage's brows knitted slightly. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.